GeekNet every fourth Monday at 7 p.m. W5SC. ARRLNTS Net Nightly at 6:30 p.m. W5FC. W5FC.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Oh, wow, the repeater clock is exactly right. I mean, exactly right. Does anybody need to use a repeater before we begin tonight's Skynet? This is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name is Tom, and I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky astronomy and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign, break, and your call sign very enthusiastically. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Please come now. This is a direct net, so please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me this evening, and stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on this frequency with a PL tone of 110 decimal niner. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Just go to the club website, which is whiskey5friedchicken.org. That's w5fc.org right now for the complete list. And remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome, and you need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is 90 minutes long and is structured in these parts. We have 1. General announcements. 2. Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. 3. National Space Society events. 4. Discussion topic of the evening. 5. Was up. 6. Space exploration and space history. 7. Constellation of the week. 8. Space launches of the week. 9. Recent astronomical discoveries. 10. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. 11. Astronomical Q&A. And 12. The 73 round. Okay, and we may or may not get to all of those. Sometimes we don't. So let's get started with low-power short-time check-ins. Please come now, if you're low-power or short-time, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low-power or short-time.
This is Kilo Delta 2, Sierra Charlie, listening in East Dallas, Old East Dallas, and I am low power, 10 watts, and really interested in this net, so I'll hand it back over to net control, KD2 SSC.
Alpha Charlie 9, Kilo Victor, Romy, a mobile and Grapevine, short time.
1, I've got Kilo Delta 2, Sierra Charlie in East Dallas, 10 watts low power. Could I get your name, please? I think this is the first time you've checked in on this net, I think.
Copy that, net control. This is Kilo Delta 2, Sierra Charlie, and the name here is Shane Hill.
Well, very good. Thank you, Shane. And 10 watts, you sound okay. Nothing wrong with the signal. I've got also AC 9KV Romy and Grapevine. He is short time. I think I may have doubled with someone else. Was there anyone else low power short time? Please come now. Okay, no problem. So since you two are low power short time, if either of you have anything you want to bring to the net now before you disappear into the ether, just bring it with your call sign. All right, let's move to general check-ins. Please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
This is November 5, Golf Hotel Oscar, Lance in Louisville,
Long Island, New York.
Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Kilo India 5, Papa Whiskey November, Tom in Plano.
This is Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
This is November 5, Bravo, Bill in Irving.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz and Mesquite.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda in DeSoto.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
In Rowlett.
Kilo Golf 5, Uniform Foxtrot Romeo, Jacob in Dallas.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu, Whiskey J near Weather.
Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
This is Alpha Golf 5, Papa Mike, Rich in Rockwall, HE5 PM.
Okay, that was a pretty healthy check-in. I'm going to need one fill. Let me see here. We'll start with, I've got N5GHO, Lance. He's over on, I think he was on Echolink. He said he was in Long Island, but he's got a 5 call and said he was from the area. I've got you checked in, Lance. I got KI5ZBL, Mr. Bill, Farmers Branch. I got KI5PWN, Tom in Plano, AA5AH, Robert in Richardson, N5BB, Mr. Bill in Irving, KI5JHA, Chaz in Mesquite, WB50ZL, Miss Brenda in DeSoto, NT5TM, Tony in Dallas. I got you. And then there was a call you got covered over in Roulette. I only have one Roulette check-in. If I can get your call sign and your name, please.
KI5, Quebec Delta Alpha, Dan in Rowlett.
Very good. I got you that time. I've got Kilo India 5, Quebec Delta Alpha. That's Dan in Roulette. Welcome, Dan. I got KG5UFR, Jacob in Dallas. I got KG5BZWJ near Weatherford. KG5 Whiskey Victor Lima, that's James in Carrollton. And AG5PM Rich in Rockwall. Okay. Additional check-ins, please come now with your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray Kelly in Quinlan.
Okay, picked up one more on RF. Got K5KTX, Miss Kelly in Quinlan. Let's move over to Echolink. If you're on Echolink, you'd like to check in, please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from, and I'll give you extra time on the Echolink. Please come now.
Control, this is Whiskey 0, Mike, Bravo Charlie, Shane.
I'm Bethany, Blue Springs. Hi, Dallas.
Well, I did get W0MBC, that's Shane and Bethany, or Bethany and Shane over in Blue Springs. There's a bunch of folks checked in over on Echolink, but not necessarily checked in on RF, so I'll give you a second chance, Echolink. That's unusual. Usually I get some folks over on Echolink, so if you're there and you'd like to check in, you can do so either by voice or if you want to just type in the chat window that you're there. Echolink only, please come now.
Kilo Charlie 3, November Papa Golf, Tom in Pennsylvania.
Kilo India 5, Bravo November Papa, Luis in Fort Worth.
Kilo Charlie 3, November Whiskey Oscar, Tara in northeastern Pennsylvania.
That's more like it. Okay, I've got JJ N5IMS over in Carrollton. He was in the chat window. KC5 November Papa Golf. That's Tom in Pennsylvania. Welcome. KI5BNP Luis over in Fort Worth, and then KC3 NWO. That's Tara over in also in Pennsylvania. Welcome. Out-of-towners are always welcome, even though you're in town, in your own town. All right, I'll open it up to anybody, any mode. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. All right, let's move on to general announcements. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? They can be of ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Please come with your call sign.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
NT5TM, Tony, you're the man. Go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. I'm also watching you on YouTube. It's so strange to see your mouth moving 10 or 15 seconds after you're speaking. But that's not important right now. If you like science fiction, you probably are here on Skynet. And if you like making fun of science fiction, tonight's Afterglow movie is a great one for you. There are some satires that are harsh, biting social criticism. Well, Galaxy Quest, our movie tonight, is just making fun of science fiction, but in a fun way. Have you ever wondered why the man's hair is always perfect and the female lead's costume always somehow gets mysteriously tattered, no matter what's happening to the man? Well, Galaxy Quest is the movie for you. We're going to talk about that tonight, 10:30, 10:35-ish. Come on out and join us. We also do have the ARRL June VHF contest going on right now. This is the best time of year for 6 meters. So if you can put up a 6-meter antenna real quick and stay up late or get up early, try making a few contacts. And last but not least, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club is going to be hosting an online forum on Discord next week. Discord, which is an online chat tool, right at 8 p.m. between TechNet and Skynet to help people get ready for field day. You don't have to be a club member. What is this Discord thing? Is it a tentacled alien? Is it something inspired by the goddess Eris? What is this anyway? There's a lot of information, including a link to sign up for Discord at w5fc.org. It's the top pinned post. So enjoy all of our nets, and if you have any questions about how to get ready for field day and how to log efficiently, we don't really care if you're a club member, but we do care if you have fun and participate. So check out more information on w5fc.org. This is NT5TM, and I've run out of things to say for now.
Very good. Thank you, Tony. And, yep, I agree with you. I'll give some additional things on that in a couple of minutes. But, yeah, our movie this evening should be a lot of fun. Galaxy Quest from 1999. Won't party like it is, too. Okay, anyone else with any announcements they want to bring, please come with your call.
Inside, BB.
N5BB. Bill, go ahead.
This is N5BB. Well, things are starting to transition back to normal for activities in the cities in North Texas. So this month, the Irving Image Radio Club meeting will still be virtual. That'll be on the fourth Thursday of the month, on June the 24th. But on the July Irving Image Radio Club meeting, we will be in person. And we will be meeting at our old standard location, the Center East Park building run by the City of Irving. They just opened up the reservations for it on Friday afternoon, and we had our own Billy, KA50ZC, at the Irving Park's office to reserve us all of our meetings through the rest of the year. So, just in case anybody's interested, N5BB.
Thank you, Bill. Does anybody need any fills on that? That's a new announcement. All right, thank you, Bill. And for those of you who are looking forward to a Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting in person, that is scheduled now for September. We are firming up and are in current discussions, in fact, are almost completed, for the Dallas Medical Center starting in September. So be ready for that. And the DARC, as you know, will be doing field day remotely, and there'll be additional information. And the Discord is a good place to ask that in the next meeting that we'll be doing remotely. So, by the way, I use that software all the time, and it's very reliable and very helpful and useful for chat and for communications through video as well, video and audio. All right, let's see here. What can I tell you about? Don't forget the AMSAT net, amsatnet.com. on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. Oops, wrong thing. Hold on. But you can't see that. Well, I messed things up. AmSatNet.com is a good place to go for that information. This is for the Houston net. There's a Houston net that starts at 8 o'clock. It is on Echolink, so you can go there and find it under AmSat with the asterisk as one of the conference areas, or you can go to their website, which is amsatnet.com. You can pick up the live audio feed there without having to be a ham. And in fact, there's a lot of people that do check in or actually listen to that net. Or you can use the, well, I did mention Echolink. Oh my, I just get so messed up when I've got multiple things going on. Now, don't forget, Dallas AmSat Net East is available also Tuesday at 8 o'clock. That's a local net here on this repeater. Tom N5HYP will be doing the net. He's net control. It's on the first Tuesday of the month, the ARC Club night, so there's no AmSat Net East. If you missed that net, he does it again on Dallas AmSat Net West on Wednesday evenings on the Arlington repeater. That's 147.140 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9er. That's a positive offset, by the way. That's at 9 o'clock, different time. So if you have questions about getting into amateur radio and amateur satellite biz, this is a good one because you can actually get in there, both the local nets. He'll explain how, give you methods of operation and all of that. It's really good. He does an excellent job. And participation is always appreciated. It's something that we'd like to see more of, at least on the east. Okay, we also have many nets here on the Dallas Amateur Radio Club repeater. This particular repeater, the nets that we have on Mondays, the first week is Ham Fixin's net. That's Mondays at 7 o'clock. We talk about recipes, cooking, and all of that. On the second week, we have MCOM 101. This is about emergency communications. You don't have to be a member of any served agency, but if you are, drop in and give your comments. That's done by Kevin. N5KRG does an excellent net. Third week is a second helping of Ham Fixin's net. Same thing I mentioned before. Fourth week is GeekNet. We talk about anything geeky. We go and expand beyond just amateur radio, though that's always our main interest. On a fifth week, we have a surprise net. If we told you what it is, it wouldn't be a surprise. So keep that in mind. We had a good one on beekeeping. Yes, be there or be square. That was a lot of fun. Friday evenings, we have Cert City. They have their summer time, I think now is at 8 o'clock. They're going to 8 o'clock. Learn about emergency radio communications via the CERT-trained amateur radio operators. Melissa, KI5GRH, is in net control. Visit the most disaster-prone city in the universe every Friday. It's Cert City, and all are welcome. Saturdays, we have TechNet, which, if you missed it, was from 7 until 8 o'clock. All things having to do with amateur radio and technical. Skynet, that you're on right now. We also have first and third Sundays, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air remote. You find out about everything that the DARC is doing. And then daily, Monday through Friday at 12 noon, we have the Lunch Bunch. There's always a survey question, which is always interesting because you can find out something about your fellow hams checking in on that net. We get a healthy check-in on that. So come on by. Eat lunch with us. Then the ARRL net, National Traffic System Training net, is every night at 6:30. That's 7 days a week. You learn all about formalized nets and formal traffic handling. It's actually a good net, and you can't do anything wrong because it's a training net. So if you're listening and you're scared to check in and you're new ham, or you just feel like you're out of sorts and not sure what to do, that's okay. This is an excellent net, the ARRL National Traffic System Training Net at 6:30. Now, tonight's Afterglow info, everybody listen because this is accurate and there'll be a test. The omnipotent being judged mankind from his floating throne. Only omnipotent types had floating thrones. That was required for all pseudo-space legal trials. The being looked at his watch and realized he had a date with a DC-6 in about 2 hours, so he had to get this judgment in before lunch. He thumbed through his book of trial tests. One was relive a pivotal point in the main character's life. No, he thought, that doesn't work. A reenactment at the OK Corral. No, that didn't make any sense. Fight a giant version of the Geico lizard. Oh, hell no. The omnipotent being's glove stopped at pretend to be in a funny version of an intergalactic space science fiction show with a clueless alien crew. The being snapped his fingers, and before he knew it, the Earth captain had transformed from a Shakespearean actor knighted by the Queen to one with a weekly television show at double the salary. Maybe this wasn't so bad after all. So join us tonight in our next intergalactic outing, Galaxy Quest, from 1999, tonight at 10:30 p.m. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's going to be an interesting net. You can keep up with all DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club site, which is w5fc.org, whiskey5friedchicken.org. Next up, we have the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope. We have several TAS members here right now. What's the latest lowdown? Come with your call.
KF5JHA.
KF5JHH. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, everyone. Hey, I just want to let you know I'm sort of torn between two things tonight. A virtual Texas Star Party has been going on for the last couple of nights, and tonight's the third night of it, so I'm monitoring that at the same time as being on Skynet. So the next Texas Astronomical Society Club meeting will be on Friday, June the 25th at 7:30 p.m. It'll be a virtual one. The speaker will be Dr. Emily Levesque, author of the new popular science book, The Last Stargazers, to take us behind the scenes on a tour of life as a professional astronomer. She'll talk about some of the most powerful telescopes in the world, the people who run them, and explore the crucial role of human curiosity in the past, present, future of scientific discovery. Wow, that's a lot. I hope she can squeeze that into about 6 hours. Okay. So if you want to get to some more information about that, you can go to texasastro.org. We are starting to have some public observing sessions. We'll announce that more probably in the next couple of weeks, but look forward to having some actual observing sessions somewhere in the Metroplex in the next month or so. This is KF5JHA, back to our net control. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Chas, and I'm looking forward to that. Even though we're a year into all this virtual stuff, I forget that there's things that you can go to and watch online. I've seen a few things. One of my favorite was Cosmosphere and their regular live presentations that they did. They even brought alive and discussed the Gus Grissom Liberty Bell 7 when it was recovered, and it was coming back from Europe on a tour. Cosmosphere did the restoration of that, and they did a live thing and talked about it, which was pretty cool. So that sort of thing is really interesting, and I enjoyed it. I hope somehow or another we can continue doing stuff like that. Doing the live thing is really important, and I really like it. I can't always do every event and can't always be in 10 places at once. So we're a little spoiled, I think, but at the same time, I'm looking really forward to people coming back and doing things in person. Okay, next up is the National Space Society events and activities. This would be Bill, N5VB. Bill, what do you got for us this evening?
Hi, Tom. This is N5BB, November 5, Bravo, Bravo. I am the membership director of the local National Space Society chapter. That's the National Space Society of North Texas. You can see our website at nssofnt.org, although we don't update it very much. There's a lot of old information on it. We also have a Facebook group and Twitter. Look for NSSOFNT, National Space Society of North Texas. We normally meet in person on the second Sunday of every month, but we haven't yet gone back to in-person meetings. We're still meeting virtually on WebEx. So our next meeting will be the second Sunday of May, which is tomorrow afternoon, and our meeting will be starting at 4 p.m., and the presentation part goes about an hour, from 4 to 5. And the topic for tomorrow is going to be Roadmap to Space Settlement by the National Space Society. So this is a presentation that talks about the anticipated space settlement plans that are coming up from NASA and other groups. So this is a lot of forward-looking stuff. As I hope you realize, there's an active program right now to the Artemis program to send a space station around the moon, and to have some astronauts landing on the moon, including the first female astronaut on the moon. And this will just be in a couple of years. And Elon Musk and other people are looking, SpaceX and other people are looking at various plans to send people to Mars. These are a lot more fuzzy. There's still a lot of safety issues. So the biggest problems aren't just the rockets and the spacecraft. It's safety, because there is once you get away from the Earth's magnetic field, there's a lot of radiation out in space, and it can do a lot of damage to humans and other organisms. So there's a lot of work being done on that right now. Then I have a big hot news topic. The International Space Development Conference for 2021 will be held virtually starting on June the 24th. The ISDC for last year, for 2020, was supposed to occur in the DFW area in Frisco. But obviously, we're right in the middle of the big COVID spread and did not happen. This year, it's going to be virtual again, just too early to do a big meeting with people coming from all over the world. So it'll be virtual. The neat thing is the first 3 days of it are free. That's right. You do not need to be a member to attend. And the dates are June the 24th, the 25th, and 26th. This is 2 weeks from now, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June the 24th, 25th, 26th. The fourth day of the conference, on the 27th, it requires a payment. If you're not a member of the National Space Society, it's $50 for a fifth day of things. There are a lot of very interesting people who are going to be speaking on at ISDC this year. Here's some of the top ones. Dr. Peggy Whitson, retired NASA astronaut and space consultant. Dr. Whitson served at NASA for 28 years. She was an astronaut for 22 years. She has a record of the most time in space by any individual for the U.S. So the most time in space by any U.S. astronaut. And she also holds the record for the most spacewalks of any woman in the world. She has over 60 hours of spacewalks. And so she was the commander of the International Space Station when she visited, and she had a lot of other. She was the first female commander of the ISS. So she's going to be talking, but there's a lot of other interesting people, such as Gwen Shotwell. You may not know who Gwen Shotwell is, but she is the president and chief operating officer of SpaceX. There's also Steve Jurvetson. I have a hard time with his name. He is a venture capitalist that's spent a lot of money on various space ventures. Michelle Hanlon, who is the reasonably recent new president of the National Space Society, will be talking. She has a long career in aerospace. Robert Manning, who is the chief engineer for the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, will be speaking, as well as Janet Ivey of Janet's Planet, and Tariq Malik, who is the editor-in-chief of Space.com. And just so I don't forget them, Phil Plait, that's right, the Bad Astronomer blog. Phil Plait will be talking, and Dr. Robert Braun, the Director for Planetary Science, NASA JPL. So there's a lot of exciting people. I just mentioned about half of the major speakers, but there's a lot others. So, ISDC 2021, again, where can you see this? On YouTube and other venues. It's going to be starting on Thursday, June the 24th. To find out more, you can go to the following URL, isdc2021.nss.org. I'll repeat that, isdc2021.nss.org. ISDC stands for the International Space Development Conference. If you have any other questions, please send them to me. My call sign, my ARL address is November 5 Bravo Bravo. That's N5BB at ARRL.net. That's. Sorry, I dropped the microphone. That's all I got, Tom. Sorry about had a lot of NSS stuff this time. N5BB. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Does anybody need any fills? Please come with your call. Do we have additional check-ins? Please come with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from.
This is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot, India, WB4MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean, Fort Worth.
Practically no power.
This is
Oscar Foxtrot, Clay in the Mesquite.
This is
Kilo Golf 5, Oscar Charlie Bravo, David, base station, Arlington.
Kilo India 5, November Oscar November, Logan and Garland Mobile. This is Kilo India 5, Golf Romeo Hotel, finally. Melissa in Northeast Dallas.
This is Kilo Golf
5 Echo India Uniform. David, St. Paul, Texas.
All right, very good, healthy check-ins. I've got Bill, WB4MFI, Dallas, low power. I do have you checked in. KV9SOK. Sean in Fort Worth, K5JDW. John in Norman, I believe. N5OF, Clay in Mesquite. KG5 Oscar Charlie Bravo, that's David in Arlington. KI5NON, Logan in Garland, he's mobile. KI5GRH, Miss Melissa in Northeast Dallas, and KG5EIU, David in St. Paul. Anyone else like to check in, or any corrections, please come with your call.
Kilo 5, Sierra Lima, Oscar, Neil, Lake Island.
All right, here I'm also looking at Echolink. I've got Neil, K5SLO over in Lake Highlands, and I got KG5APL, and I recognize that call, but I can't remember the name. Hold on, I'm going to cheat. APL. Oh, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. He's helping me out here. Over on Echolink. I think he's in Dallas. Thank you, Patrick. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and move on. We got 32 check-ins, not bad. A couple of weeks ago, I started a thing called What Are Gravitational Waves, and in the process of doing that, I realized there was more to talk about. So what I did was I just made a part 2. Now, I'm no genius on any of this stuff. Where I got the information was here. If you're looking at the feed, it's at LIGO, Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, LIGO. And in fact, the first time I heard about this was actually at a Texas Astronomical Society meeting about 2 years ago, and it was quite fascinating. It was about to just go online, or they were ready to go online. Well, there's a lot of studies that have been going on, and they're discovering a lot of interesting things. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and what came from the website. Now, I am no expert, but I can read, so here we go. Last time, we discussed what gravitational waves were. Gravitational waves are ripples in space-time caused by some of the most violent and energetic processes in the universe. Albert Einstein predicted the existence of gravitational waves in 1916 in his general theory of relativity. Einstein's mathematics showed that massive accelerating objects such as neutron stars or black holes orbiting each other would disrupt space-time in such a way that waves of undulating space-time would in all directions away from the source. These cosmic ripples would travel at the speed of light, carrying with them information about their origins as well as the clues to the nature of gravity itself. By the way, I'm KE5ICX. Do that once in a while. The shortest gravitational waves are produced by cataclysmic events such as colliding black holes, supernovae, that would be massive stars exploding at the end of their lifetimes and colliding with neutron stars. Other waves are predicted to be caused by the rotation of neutron stars that are not perfect spheres, and possibly even the remnants of gravitational radiation created by the Big Bang. Today, we'll continue with sources and types of gravitational waves. Every massive object that accelerates produces gravitational waves. This includes humans, cars, airplanes, etc. But the masses and accelerations of objects on Earth are far too small to make gravitational waves big enough to detect with our instruments. To find big enough gravitational waves, we have to look far outside of our own solar system. It turns out that the universe is filled with incredibly massive objects that undergo rapid accelerations that by their nature generate gravitational waves that we can actually detect. Examples of such things are orbiting pairs of black holes and neutron stars, or massive stars blowing up at the end of their lives. At the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, or LIGO, L-I-G-O, scientists have defined 4 categories of gravitational waves based on what generates them. They are continuous, compact binary in spiral, stochastic, and burst. Each category of objects generates a unique or characteristic set of signals that LIGO's interferometers can sense and that researchers can look for in LIGO's data. So let's start with what's called continuous gravitational waves. Continuous gravitational waves are thought to be produced by a single spinning massive object like a neutron star. Any bumps on or imperfections in the spherical shape of this star will generate gravitational waves as it spins. If the spin rate of the star stays constant, so too are the gravitational waves it emits. That is, the gravitational wave is continuously the same frequency and amplitude, like a singer holding a single note. That's why these are called continuous gravitational waves. Researchers have created simulations of what an arriving continuous gravitational wave would sound like if the signal LIGO generated was converted into a sound. And unfortunately, I don't have this here, and I can't play it on the radio anyway because I don't have it set up that. But look for and Google continuous gravitational wave signal, and you'll find this information. Let's see. The next one is called compact binary in spiral gravitational waves. The next class of gravitational waves that LIGO is hunting for is compact binary in spiral gravitational waves. So far, all the objects LIGO has detected fall into this category. These are compact binary in spiral gravitational waves which are produced by orbiting pairs of massive and dense compact objects like white dwarf stars, black holes, and neutron stars. These are the 3 subclasses of compact binary systems in this category of gravitational wave generators. They're called binary neutron stars, or BNS, binary black hole, that's BBH, neutron star black hole binary, NSBH. Each binary pair creates a unique pattern of gravitational waves, but the mechanism of wave generation is the same across all 3. It is called in spiral. So if you're looking at the video or you are checking the links, there's a link there that says example of binary in spiral waves. So in spiral occurs over millions of years as pairs of dense compact objects revolve around each other. As they orbit, they emit gravitational waves that carry away some of the system's orbital energy. As a result, over eons, the objects orbit closer and closer together. Unfortunately, moving closer causes them to orbit each other much faster, which causes them to emit stronger gravitational waves, which then causes them to lose more orbital energy. Inch ever closer, orbit faster, lose more energy, move closer, orbit faster, etc. The objects are doomed to an inescapably locked in a runaway, accelerating, spiraling embrace. This accelerating spin process is analogous to a spinning figure skater. Imagine that the skater's outstretched fists are neutron stars or black holes, and the skater's body is the force of gravity binding them together. As the spinning skater pulls her fist in towards their body, as the objects move closer and closer, they spin faster and faster. Unlike the skater, however, the pairs of neutron stars or black holes cannot halt their rotation. The process of emitting gravitational waves and orbiting closer and closer sets off an unstoppable sequence of events that can only end with the two objects colliding. Now, in spiral gravitational wave signal in seconds, I put a diagram up. It's just kind of a simple one. It says LIGO's instruments are designed to detect a specific range of frequencies of gravitational waves, just as human ears are sensitive to a certain range of sound frequencies. This means that LIGO cannot detect objects orbiting at rates that fall outside of this range of frequencies, either too high or too low. However, as orbiting objects move closer together, they orbit faster and faster, which means eventually the objects will begin orbiting each other fast enough that the gravitational waves they emit fall within our sensitive range. But the time they spend orbiting in that range of frequencies is typically very brief. The masses of the objects involved dictate how long they emit detectable gravitational waves. Heavy objects, such as black holes, move through their final in-spiral phase much more rapidly than lighter objects like neutron stars. This means the black hole merger signals are much shorter in LIGO than neutron star mergers signals, and the differences are quite striking. For example, the first pair of merging holes that LIGO detected produced a signal just 0.2 of a second long. In contrast, the first neutron star merger LIGO detected in August 2017 generated a signal over 100 seconds long in our instruments. LIGO can convert its space-time distortion signals into an audible sound called a chirp, so we can all, in a sense, hear the final moments of the lives of two black holes and two neutron stars. These objects have been orbiting each other for billions of years. LIGO captures the last fraction of a second or a few seconds of that lifetime together. There have two examples of the two of them merging together, unique signatures and interferometers. Shorter signals mean more massive objects. Like black holes were involved, longer signals suggest lower mass objects like neutron stars. Yeah. Made sure I read that right. It is correct. To date, LIGO has published the detection of gravitational waves generated by 10 pairs of merging black holes and 2 pairs of colliding neutrons. Since April 1st, 2019, dozens more detections have been made, keeping LIGO scientists busy analyzing the data to understand the true natures of these detections. LIGO's enormous success belies the fact that its instruments must strain to sense anything over the constant din generated by anything on Earth or from internal fluctuations of the laser beam itself, to traffic on nearby roads, to weather, and to earthquakes happening all over the world. For a more realistic sense of LIGO contends with in its search for gravitational waves, it says they have a simulated neutron star merger, which sounds like it's buried in all the noise. You'll have to listen very carefully to hear the chirp. And you can do that by going to LIGO put in LIGO.org, and then as part of the search, look for stochastic, and you should be able to find it. The URLs are very complicated. Astronomers predict that there are so few significant sources of continuous or binary in spiral gravitational waves in the universe that LIGO doesn't worry about the possibility of more than one passing by Earth at the same time, producing confusing signals in the detectors. However, we do presume many small gravitational waves are passing by from all over the universe all the time, and they are mixed together at random. These small waves come from every direction, make up what is called the stochastic signal. So called because of the word stochastic means, everybody write this down, having a random pattern that may be analyzed statistically but not predicted precisely. This would be the smallest and most difficult gravitational waves to detect, but it is possible that at least part of this stochastic signal may originate from the Big Bang. Detecting relic gravitational waves from the Big Bang will allow us to see further back into the history of the universe than ever before. And this is KE5ICX. So, the last one is burst gravitational waves. The search for burst gravitational waves is truly a search for the unexpected, both because LIGO has yet to detect them and because there are still so many unknowns that we really don't know what to expect. For example, sometimes we don't know enough about the physics of a system to predict how gravitational waves from the source will appear. We also expect to detect gravitational waves from systems we never knew about before. To search for these kinds of gravitational waves, we cannot assume that they will have well-defined properties like those of continuous or compact binary in spiral waves. This means we cannot restrict our analysis to searching only for the signature of gravitational waves that scientists have predicted. Searching for burst gravitational waves requires being utterly open-minded. For these kinds of gravitational waves, scientists must recognize a pattern of signals even when such a pattern has not been modeled, what we think a signal might look like, before. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's really hard to find it. While this makes searching for burst gravitational waves difficult, detecting them has the greatest potential to reveal revolutionary information about the universe. So we're moving on to a third section the next time I have the net. Next time we'll focus on the LIGO interferometer and how it works. And this is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. Pause and ask for additional check-ins real quick. We did this just a little while ago, but I'll go ahead and do it. Anyone else like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. All right, well, that's fine. Next up is Chaz with Was Up. So, Chaz, K5JHA, the net is yours.
Okay, Kelly, the contest on virtual Texas Star Party is all yours. I'm going to have to not participate tonight. All right. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree's in astrophysics. I'm the astrophysics lab manager at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus, and we call this segment of Skynet Was Up. Slide number 2, slide master, please. On June the 10th, the moon was at its new phase, so today the moon is at its waxing crescent phase. In fact, a friend of mine said he looked down and saw the crescent moon, and Venus was right underneath of it tonight. I've been inside and didn't go out and take a look. On June the 17th, the moon will be at its first quarter. On June the 23rd, the moon will be at its perigee, which is the point on the moon's orbit that's closest to the Earth. And on June 24th, the moon will be full. Slide number 3, please. On the evening of June 13th, the moon will have moved close to the planet Mars for its conjunction in the western evening sky. That should be an interesting thing. Mars is kind of faint right now, even though it was pretty close to us back in October at opposition and close encounter. But now it's almost on the other side of the solar system. Slide number 4, please. On the night of June 16th, 17th, a very sparse meteor shower, the June Lyrids, will peak with a few meteors per hour. Remember that the best time to observe meteors is in between midnight and dawn. The very best time is the hour just before dawn. Slide number 5. On June the 20th at 10:32 p.m. Central Daylight Time is the moment of the Summer Solstice, which is the astronomical beginning of summer. On this day in the Northern Hemisphere, we have the longest day and the shortest night of the entire year. Slide number 6, please. On June 26th, in the late evening sky, you can catch the moon and Saturn rising in conjunction in the southeastern sky. Yep, Jupiter and Saturn have been in the morning sky, but they're transitioning to the evening sky already. On slide number 7, on the night of June 26th, 27th, the June Boötids meteor shower should produce from maybe a dozen to maybe more than 100 meteors per hour. But a large number of visible meteors are not expected because of the full moon being on June 24th, which will interfere with your observations of the meteors. Slide number 8, please. The moon and Jupiter can be seen rising together in the southeastern sky about an hour after midnight on the early morning of June the 31st at the end of the month. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 9, please. The Texas Astronomical Society Club meeting, as I talked about before, will be on June 25th at 7:30 p.m. It's a virtual meeting. Members will get a link to the Zoom meeting probably about a week ahead of time. For more information about that and when we're going to have public observing sessions again, go to texasastro.org for updated information. Slide number 10, please. Now, do any of you out there in Radioland have any questions or need a fill on any of the information, or you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question, or maybe someone else here might. Come now with your call sign if you have a question.
KG5OCB.
KC5OCD, please come with your question.
Okay, recently I got a pretty nice little telescope. It's a 6-inch Orion. And earlier some guy was talking about... Anyway, I would like to get in contact with someone that might help me use it a little bit, you know, and figure out how to use it. I guess I need I've had some in the past, but this one's a little bit bigger and a little bit more difficult to use. I was just trying to get a little help.
Well, before we had all the shutdowns, I would have recommended any one of the Saturday night observing sessions that the Texas Astronomical Society have, because several, usually astronomers are at each one of these events, and one of them might be able to help you out with that. But right now, we don't have that happening, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so, we might start having some public observing sessions. That's where I would take it if I were you. Right now, with the current still isolations a lot of people are in, I don't have anybody that I could recommend that could help you out at this point. But be patient. You have a nice scope, and it's going to be worth looking at the heavens with. You should be able to see the craters on the moon tonight if the moon has not set already. All right. I hope that answered your question. Did it? This is KF5JHA.
Thank you. Maybe I can catch it when when they're having their meetings and go sometime. I'm sure they'd be able to help me. Thanks a lot, KG5OCB.
Well, once again, the meetings are also virtual right now and not in person, and we hope to resume those in person sometime soon, too. So be patient, and we'll probably be able to see you in person sometime soon. Okay, slide number 11, please. Slide master. So as the moon wanes at the beginning of June, so these words for this segment of Skynet: stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. And until next week, well, actually, I'll be doing another segment in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JHA, back to our net control. I believe that's Tom, KE5ICX.
Hello. Thank you, Chaz, and thank you for reminding me to put out the call sign. We got to do that every 10 minutes. Check the watch. This is KE5ICX, net control for Skynet this evening. Let's see, we already did a check-in on the previous segment, so let's go to Brenda, WB50ZL. She's in charge of space exploration and space history tonight. So, Brenda, go right ahead, and that is yours from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. This is WB50ZL. First up in the news, this week on June 10th, we had a partial solar eclipse. And if you can see the picture, it's really pretty. There are a lot of pretty pictures out there on the net. If you can go see some of them, they're quite spectacular. Observers on the U.S. West Coast couldn't see the full annular eclipse, a type of eclipse that occurs when the moon is too far away from the Earth and doesn't color the solar disk completely, leaving a ring of fire around it as it passes in front of the sun. Next, on June 9th, this week, Jupiter's moon Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, can be seen in one of the first close-up images captured by the Juno space probe during its closest flyby at the moon to date. Surface features include craters and terrain discolorations along tectonic faults and can be seen in the images captured on Monday, June 7th by Juno's JunoCam camera. During the flyby, Juno was about 645 miles from Ganymede's surface, the closest any spacecraft has ever been since the Galileo mission in the early 2000s. NASA released this preliminary image taken through the JunoCam's green filter on Tuesday, June 8th, one day after the closest approach. Juno scientists will now process the images, stitching together the three images after taking separately through the camera's green, red, and blue filters. Next, on June 7th, Monday, European astronaut Thomas Pesquet took a picture of the approaching Dragon cargo capsule shortly before its docking at the International Space Station on Saturday, June 5th. Pesquet, who arrived at the orbital outpost in April as part of the Crew 2 on board of SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule Endeavour, has posted the image on Instagram, commenting that the cargo ship disrupted the crew's usual Saturday cleaning routine as astronauts had to focus on unpacking the freshly delivered supplies. Pesquet added that technology has advanced since his previous stay at the orbital outpost in 2016, as back then the SpaceX Crew Dragon vehicle had to be attached to the station with a robotic arm instead of doing it autonomously. Birthdays. David Scott, June 6, 1932. He was on Gemini 8, Apollo 9, and Apollo 15. Anne McClain, June 7th, 1979, Soyuz MS-11. Bruce McCandless II, June 8th, 1937, STS-41B and STS-31. James McDivitt, June 10th, 1929, Gemini 4 and Apollo 9. Stanley G. Love, June 8th, 1965, STS-122. James Van Hoften, June 11th, 1944, STS-41C and STS-51I. J.C. Buckley, June 6, 1956, STS-90. F. Drew Gaffney, June 9th, 1946, STS-40. This week in space history, Gemini 4 was the second crewed spaceflight in NASA's Project Gemini, occurring in June 1965. It was the 10th crewed American spaceflight, including two X-15 flights at altitudes exceeding 100 kilometers. Astronauts James McDivitt and Ed White circled the Earth 66 times in 4 days, making it the first U.S. spaceflight to approach the 5-day flight of the Soviet Vostok 5. The highlight of the mission was the first spacewalk by an American, during which White floated free outside the spacecraft tethered to it for approximately 20 minutes. The flight also included the first attempt to make a space rendezvous, as McDivitt attempted to maneuver his craft close to the Titan II upper stage, which launched it into orbit, but this was not successful. The flight was the first American flight to perform many scientific experiments in space, including use of a sextant to investigate the use of celestial navigation for a lunar flight in the Apollo program. On June 8th, 1959 was the first unpowered glide of the X-15. Scott Crossfield completed the airplane's first flight, an unpowered glide from 37,550 feet. The flight was troubled as the flight controls had not been set up properly. As Crossfield attempted to land the unfueled X-15, it went into what Crossfield described as a classic PIO, or pilot-induced oscillation. He managed to set down the X-15 on the desert runway at the bottom of one of the severe oscillations, saving himself and the airframe. On September 17, 1959, he completed the first powered flight. Then, on June 9th, 1952, the AB meteorite fell in Alberta, Canada at 11:05 p.m. at night. The space stone weighed nearly 325 pounds and was recovered from a 6-foot deep crater in a wheat field when it was found 5 days later. A piece of it is on display at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. AB is classified as an enstatite chondrite with petrologic type 4. It is the only type of it in the world of this specific meteorite. Scientists think meteorites like AB formed near the sun, where it would contain little or no water, according to the museum. All right, back to net. This is Patty B5OZL.
Thank you, Brenda. And this is KE5ICX, and you're listening to Skynet. All right, Chaz, run back to the microphone. You're back on. Your segment of Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is next. Please go ahead from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. Hey, by the way, everyone, Tom is the slide changer. If you're watching the video portion of this, he changes all the slides for me. Thank you very much. Miss Carolyn, this is slide number 12, by the way. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week from almost its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019 with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky in a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is Virgo, the Maiden. Okay, slide number 13. This is what all of you have been waiting for the entire night. I know, you've been waiting for this. The jokes of the week. Here we go. Okay, the first one. I love being married. Now, we could fill that in with lots of things, isn't it? It's great to find a lady to annoy for the rest of your life. Okay, just to let you know, for full disclosure, I'm not married anymore. Okay, maybe that's the reason why, I don't know. Number 2, a lady asked the bank teller to check her balance. So the teller pushed her over. Guess she wasn't balanced. Remember, this is all about the constellation for the week. Ladies, maidens, you know. Number 3, why did the lady fall down the well? Well, that's an easy one. Because she didn't see that well. I gave my seat to a lady on the bus, and the next day I lost my job as the driver. And another one. Why was the lady kicked off the baseball team? Because she swallowed a fly. Yeah, I hear you guys laughing out there. You're not booing and hissing, are you? Okay, and the last one for this segment anyway. Okay, well, you know, I can't resist doing a few more anyway. After a car accident, several bystanders ran over to help. A lady was the first to reach the victim, but the man rushed in and pushed her aside. "Step aside, lady," he barked. "I've taken a course in first aid." The lady watched for a few minutes and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Pardon me, when you get to the part about calling a doctor, I'm right here." Okay, that is funny. All right, slide number 14, please. Virgo can be easily found by using the Big Dipper. Follow the arc of the handle of the Big Dipper to the star called Arcturus in the constellation of Bootes. Talked about Bootes just a moment ago. Then continue the arc to spy the star Spica. Spica is the brightest star in Virgo. Don't know why I'm emphasizing that star's name, but I'm not going to talk about Spica because Virgo is famous for its galaxies. Virgo has so many galaxies that I could spend a couple of hours describing them. So the Afterglow movie will be delayed and start around 12:30 this evening. Okay, just kidding. Slide number 15, please. The constellation of Virgo is the center of the closest large cluster of galaxies to us and can easily take up several evenings of observing time. In fact, it can take up an awful lot of time, many, many evenings. If you are looking at the video version of Skynet, all of the little red ellipses that you see are galaxies. Those are just the bright ones, and there are thousands of galaxies in this area. In some cases, it is difficult to move a whole telescope field of view without seeing several galaxies within that field of view. A good star atlas is a must in this region for identifying all the galaxies visible in a telescope of moderate aperture. I found lots of them with a 16-inch while I was at the West Texas Star Party about a month ago. While I'm only going to describe some of the brighter members here, I encourage all of you to try navigating this area in a dark sky. That's what it's going to take. It would be hard not to improve your observing skills by meeting this challenge head on. Slide number 16, please. M58, with dimensions about 5 minutes by 2 minutes, this is one of the larger spiral galaxies in this region, is a spindle shape oriented northeast to southwest and is a broadly concentrated center. There is a relatively bright star nearby to the west of this galaxy. Slide number 17, please. M61, this galaxy is a face-on spiral about 6 minutes by 4 minutes, oriented north-northeast to south-southwest. It's fairly even in brightness except for a stellar nucleus and some faint mottlings on its eastern and western sides. Slide number 18, please. M84 and M86, these are relatively bright galaxies that are very similar in appearance and are visible in the same low-powered field of view. They are both considered spiral galaxies with no visible arms. M84 is round, about 3 minutes in diameter, has a large 1-minute diameter core and a stellar nucleus. M86 is larger, about 4 minutes in diameter, and a fainter and also has a stellar nucleus. Slide number 19, please. M87, this is a very bright galaxy. It's very large too, by the way, about 4 minutes in diameter. I'm not talking about in the sky. I mean it's really big with a large core and non-stellar nucleus. It's an elliptical galaxy, and it's usually the largest of the large galaxies in this area. Slide number 20. M104 is the Sombrero galaxy. I saved the best object for last. This is one of the finest showpieces in the sky. It's on the edge between Virgo and Corvus. This beautiful edge on galaxy is 10 minutes by 2 minutes oriented east to west and has an obvious central bulge with a central dark lane running through the length of the galaxy, and this object is not one to be missed. And it does sort of look like a sombrero. This is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 21, please. There are tons more Astronomical Leak observing program objects in this constellation of Virgo the Maiden. I've just given you a sampling of a few of these objects. The Astronomical Leak has over 70 different observing programs, most of which are around 100 objects. If you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pin in about a year. Slide number 22, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Virgo, the Maiden. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for their research and words on the deep sky objects that I've used and borrowed and stolen for tonight. I also, at times, use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Next time, I'll take a look at Libra, the scales. And this is KF5, JHA, sending this back to our net control, Tom, KE5ICX. Have a good night, everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Chaz. And this is KE5ICX. Let me move over to space launches for this week. That's my segment. You can find additional information. My favorite is Spaceflight Now, spaceflightnow.com/launch schedule. And a lot of these are telecast, so if you are interested, or streamed, I should say, you can watch any of these at any time. So you might want to print them out, use them. June 13th, we have a launch from an iconic L-1011 aircraft from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. An air-launched Northrop Grumman Pegasus XL rocket will deploy a payload into orbit for the U.S. Space Force's tactically responsive launch program. We also have Minotaur 1 launch. This is Pad 0B at Wallops Island, Virginia. U.S. Air Force, the Northrop Grumman Minotaur 1 rocket will launch a classified spy satellite for the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office. June, not yet determined yet, Long March 2F launch from Jiuquan, China. The rocket will launch a Shenzhou-12 spacecraft with multiple Chinese astronauts to rendezvous and dock with the Chinese space station in low Earth orbit. This will be China's 7th crewed space mission and the first to the Chinese space station. That rocket is now currently on the pad, by the way, so it's imminent. June 17th, the Falcon 9 launch. This is from Space Launch Complex 40 in Cape Canaveral at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Falcon 9 rocket will be U.S. Space Force 5th, third-generation navigation satellite for the Global Positioning System. June 24th, Falcon 9 launch again, this one from SLC 40, also at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will launch the Transporter 2 mission, a ride-share flight to the sun-synchronous orbit with numerous small microsatellites and nanosatellites for commercial and government customers. Next we have to be determined the GSLV Mark II launch, or GSAT-1. Mentioned this one before, we're still waiting. This is India's geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle MK2 GSLV Mark II, designated GSLV F-10, will launch India's first geoimaging satellite, or GSAT-1. The spacecraft will provide continuous remote sensing observations over the Indian subcontinent. Having problems, this has been delayed since March. Finally, June 29th, the Soyuz Progress 78P launch from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Russian government Soyuz rocket will launch the 78th Progress cargo delivery ship to the International Space Station. The rocket will fly in the Soyuz 2.1A configuration. And with that, I'm going to move over to Miss Brenda, WB50ZL, with recent astronomical discoveries. This is KE5ICX. Brenda, that's yours.
This is WB50ZL, and this article is entitled Astronomers spot a blinking giant near the center of the galaxy. Astronomers have spotted a giant blinking star towards the center of the Milky Way more than 25,000 light years away. An international team of astronomers observed the star VVV-WIT-08, decreasing in brightness by a factor of 30 so that it nearly disappeared from the sky. While many stars change in brightness because they pulsate or are eclipsed by another star in a binary system, it's exceptionally rare for a star to become fainter over a period of several months and then brighten again. Researchers believe the VVV-WIT-08 may belong to a new class of blinking giant binary star system, where a giant star 100 times larger than the Sun is eclipsed once every few decades by an as-yet unseen orbital companion. The companion, which may be another star or planet, is surrounded by an opaque disk which covers the giant star, causing it to disappear and reappear in the sky. The discovery was led by Dr. Lee Smith from Cambridge's Institute of Astronomy, working with scientists at the University of Edinburgh, the University of Hertfordshire, the University of Warsaw in Poland, and the Universidad Andrés Bello in Chile. It's amazing that we just observed a dark, large, and elongated object pass between us and the distant star, and we can only speculate what its origin is, says co-author Dr. Sergei Kopasov from the University of Edinburgh. Since the star is located in a dense region of the Milky Way, the researchers considered whether some unknown dark object could have simply drifted into a giant star by chance. However, simulations show that there would have to be an implausibly large number of dark bodies floating around the galaxy for this scenario to be likely. The other star system of this sort has been known for a long time. The giant star Epsilon Aurigae is partly eclipsed by a huge disk of dust every 27 years, but it only dims by about 50%. A second example, TYC 2505-672-1, was found a few years ago and holds the current record for the eclipsing binary star system with the longest orbital period, 69 years, a record for which VVV-WIT-08 is currently a contender. The UV-based team has also found two more of these peculiar giant stars in addition, suggesting that they may be a new class of blinking giant stars for astronomers to investigate. VVV-WIT-08 was found by the VISTA variables in the Via Lactea survey, a project using the British-built VISTA telescope in Chile and operated by the European Southern Observatory, that has been observing the same 1 billion stars for nearly a decade to search for examples with varying brightness in the infrared part of the spectrum. Project co-leader Professor Philip Lucas from the University of Hertfordshire said, "Occasionally we find variable stars that don't fit into any established category, and we call what is this, or WIT objects. We really don't know how these blinking giants came to be. It's exciting to see such discoveries from VVV after so many years planning and gathering the data. While VVV-WIT-08 was discovered using VVV data, the dimming of the star was also observed by the Optical Gravitational Lensing Experiment, OGLE, a long-running observation campaign run by the University of Warsaw. OGLE makes more frequent observations, but closer to the visible part of the spectrum. These frequent observations were key for modeling VVV-WIT-08, and they showed that the giant star dimmed by the same amount in both the infrared and visible light. There now appear to be around half a dozen potential known star systems of this type, containing giant stars and large opaque disks. There's certainly more to be found, but the challenge now is in figuring out what the hidden companions are and how they came to be surrounded by disks, despite orbiting so far from the giant star, said Smith. In so doing, we might learn something new about how these kinds of systems evolve. Okay, back to Nat. This is WB5OZL.
Thank you, Brenda. And this is KE5ICX. Okay, well, we're getting down to the bottom of
normal state
the net this evening, so we're going to skip the next segment. But I'm going to go ahead and ask for any additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo 5, Alpha November Echo. This is Kane in Richardson.
All right, very good. K5ANE, that's Kane over in Richardson. He checked in. Anyone else before we close out? Okay, we're going to close it. Tonight we had 33 hams checking in tonight, and I want to thank you all. That includes me. Thank you for all who checked in.
Afterglow.
We hope you join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the DARC nets, including the one coming up next. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can also follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to the website w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Till next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray Tom, and I am closing the net at 22:30 on the dot local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use, at least for now. And we'll be back in 5 minutes for the Afterglow movie net, which is Galaxy Quest from 1999. 7-3, everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. We'll be back in 5.
is N5HYP. How's my copy in my current position?
Tom, we can still hear you, so it sounds good.
I gotta stand in a particular spot and rub my belly the right way. I'll be in for one round only tonight. This is N5H.
Well, you better make it good. It's Galaxy Quest. It's an A-list movie, I think.
Tom, you need to stand on one foot and hold the antenna really high. 5BB.
K5ANE, are you out there?
I am out here, but probably not net control tonight.
Darn, I thought maybe when you checked in you might want to be net control. Okay. Let me see. Anybody want to be net control tonight? Please come now.
I would be willing to do it, Tom, if nobody else wants to. This is N5BB.
Cat 5 GRH. Nope, just kidding.
Why you gotta do us like that, Melissa?
I could never net control this one. This is out of control. Alrighty, I'll let you get on with it. You leadership there over there. Cat 5 GRH monitoring, though.
Come on, this is the easiest net out there to be NCS for. You don't actually have to do anything any particular way.
Well, you might want to even know what the movie's about, and I have no idea. But I'm here. Cat 5 GRH.
It wouldn't be the first time I've been NCS when I didn't watch the movie. I mean, you know, all you have to do is herd the cats and Bill.
Well, there's the impossibility. Cat 5 GRH. Oh, I'm having radio difficulties now.
We gotta keep Tom awake, K5NE.
Go ahead.
If Tom looks at channel 13, he can see Monty Python. I think Buck Rogers is still going on over on NET TV also, N5BB.
It is, and it's got all the midgets in it, or the little people. No Darby O'Gill, though, but they're all the ones that appeared in Time Bandits. They're all in this movie, or a television show, which I never understood, and I don't think I've ever watched it with the sound on.
Well, on public TV, nobody suspects the Spanish Inquisition. They're actually talking about Monty Python rather than just playing it. So you may be bored. N5BB, like I say, I volunteer if nobody else really wants to do it.
Brenda says she volunteered earlier this week.
I'm glad we don't have to do this on Cert City.
Hey, playing hot potatoes half the fun.
I might just try this Friday. Anyway, I'll leave y'all alone. Cat 5 GRH.
Wuss. So, Tom, did you see where Brenda said she volunteered earlier this week? I mean, before she volunteered, I was going to say, for once, I don't actually feel terrible, so...
All right, as usual, we have the somewhat non-described, semi-discussing, maybe something will happen, and the net control hot potato moves from person to person. Michael, you kept talking a lot. You sure you don't want to do it? Because, again, like you said, you don't have to know what you're doing. All you have to just do is herd the cats. You can do it. Otherwise, I'm going to hand it to Bill, and he's wearing his uniform tonight.
I was going to volunteer, but then Brenda says she volunteered earlier this week. But, you know, I don't want to keep her fun away from, you know, she hadn't done it in ages, has she?
She was good. She took care of business. So you got it. Here's the hot potato. Bill, we'll reserve you for next week for sure, because who knows what lurks in the minds of evil men. The shadow knows.
All right. Tell me when.
When?
I don't have anything written up yet, so I guess I'm going to have to fake it. Wow. I really don't have anything. So, gather around, hear ye, oye, et cetera, for the Afterglow Movie Network on W5FC, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club repeater. Tonight, we're going to talk about Galaxy Quest. And here's where I normally read something, but I didn't even get a chance to like Google anything up, even the simple stuff. So basically, it's what is it? It's a movie. It's a parody of Star Trek and Star Trek fandom and the characters from the original Star Trek and living their lives on the Star Trek convention circuit, and not having done anything since then. Although, truth be told, you know, Bill Shatner did go on to star in Boston Legal, where I think he was better than he ever was. You know, some of the great lines from Boston Legal, like, Denny Crane, I used to have my own spaceship, Denny Crane. If you haven't watched Boston Legal, you might actually start liking the guy. And then there was, you know, stuff my dad says. But anyway, I digress, because we're not talking about any of that. We're talking about Galaxy Quest from 1999. I am doing all of this off the top of my head at the moment. So basically, what is the Afterglow movie? For those of you that are like going, what the heck did I just tune into? The Afterglow movie is a fireside chat without the fire, because it's Texas and it's, you know, coming on summer, where we get together and we talk about movies. Usually science fiction movies, frequently bad science fiction movies, although occasionally comical movies, like tonight. And anybody that says, I don't get it, needs to go back to, you know, Humor 101, and just don't embarrass yourself by saying, I don't understand, because it's a comedy. It's supposed to make you laugh, and it does. Apparently my radio didn't like me holding it down that long, but that's okay. I'll get over it, and so will it. So anyway, we talk about movies. Mr. Tom tells us what movie to watch, and we occasionally do it, and sometimes we just fake it. And then we get together this time of night on a Saturday, and we talk about it. Usually in 3 or more rounds. We'll talk loosely about the plot, although some people start talking about other movies they've seen, which makes no sense to me. And then we're supposed to talk about characterization, which I still never really think is a good term for what we talk about in the second phase. And then usually special effects and other things, music, things that people see or feel or understand about the movie that, frankly, I usually never even noticed, which is one of the reasons I like this thing. Anyway, so I think that's a synopsis. That's what we're doing here. That's enough time for everybody to decide. Oh, right, I'm actually on the right frequency, and I'm not gonna get whatever else I thought I was gonna get on this frequency tonight because it's the Afterglow movie net. Anyway, I suppose it's time to take check-ins. So go slow or not, and I'll do my best to recognize all the voices. This is WT9V asking for you to do your check-in stuff now.
November, Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas. I've seen the movie several times.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bill in Irving. And actually today was the first time I saw the movie, but I have seen it.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom in Louisville. Or I can be any ham you wish to visualize. And yes, I saw the movie.
Can you be a country ham?
No, especially if it's a cookbook. Back to you.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo, Zulu Whiskey, J. near Weatherford. I've seen the film.
Kilo India 5, Papa Whiskey, November. I haven't seen the film, but that probably won't stop me from commenting on it.
What was your name again, please?
Tom in Plano.
Kilo Bravo 5, 9, SOK. Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I've seen the historical record.
Whiskey 5.
So 5, Alpha November Echo, Kane and Richardson. And yes, I've seen the historical records.
Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas.
Was that a yes or a no, David?
Very much yes. W5EBB.
Thank you, sir. Keep them coming, people. Keep them coming. No pushing.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto, and I've seen it several times.
Anybody else out there that wants to check in?
Kilo Delta 2, Sierra Sierra Charlie in Old East Dallas.
Okay, one thing. Sean, what was your call sign again? I didn't catch all of it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Something good going with Mike there. Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo.
Sounded like somebody doubled with Sean.
Yes, it's Sean, Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo. Am I getting it?
Same.
Sounded like somebody doubled with you again. I caught Sean, but as soon as you unkeyed, it sounded like somebody else you were over on top of them. So if there was somebody else transmitting just then, come back again, please. Okay, maybe it's just my severed imagination. Anybody else? One more time. Okay, I shall do something I don't normally do, and I will read back the people that I heard. NT5TM, Tony, yes. N5BB, Bill, yes, although it's his first time. K5ICX, Tom, yes. KG5BZWJ, yes. KI5PWN, Tom in Plano, nobody's going to make snarky comments about it anyway, which is perfectly fine. KB9SOK, Sean, yes. Kane, yes. David, yes, very much yes. Brenda, yes, many times. And KD2SSC, David in Dallas, and I didn't catch whether that was a yes or a no.
KD2SSC, and name here is Shane. And as far as Galaxy Quest is concerned, yeah, but it's been a really long time. Back to net control.
Alright, I got you down as Shane. I was just going by what's on your license. But I've made a note. Alright. Let's see. Give me a moment. Alright, let's go this way. K5ANE, you're up first, because you're alphabetically first. Go for it. K5ANE is asleep. Come on. You know how this works. K5ANE, your thoughts on the plot of Galaxy Quest? Okay, fine. We'll come back to him. KB9SOK, Sean, Fort Worth. Your turn, sir.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Well, obviously this was a comedy, so as it was said, it's kind of hard to poke a lot of fun out of it because it's intentionally meant to be maybe not exactly the most accurate. As your Snossus said earlier, it was pretty much just meant to, kind of make poke fun as Star Trek, and then also, the fandom of which Star Trek is, of course, the original con that kind of started the thing that's so popular now with all the different series. and it just kind of was, making fun of the, the real life people, the actors that didn't necessarily always like being at the cons, and just how the cast got along. So that was obviously the focus. The overall actual story was kind of your generic plot that we've seen a million times. In a way, you've got a group of people that don't really like each other, but they have to come together to solve the puzzle or defeat the enemy. And of course, that happened in this movie. So yeah, not really a real deep plot in reality. So really, it's just mainly just meant to be a comedy. And excuse me. And of course, comedies are very subjective. So I'm sure some people probably very much enjoyed it, and there's probably folks out there that just didn't like it at all. I kind of feel somewhere in between. I thought the movie was just okay. It's not my favorite comedy of all time, but it is okay. But it was obviously with high-end actors and large budget, and was done pretty well. I do think there's some more modern comedies that have done it better, but all in all, it was okay. Not a lot of original plot here, but since I got a pretty long list of people tonight, I'll send it back to Net Control. This is KB9SOK.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Well, let's go to KD9SSC, Shane in Dallas. What do you have to say, sir?
Copy that, KD2SSC. And, well, I don't really know what much of else to say, except, I'm just refreshing my memory about this movie. And, yeah, I guess it is a comedy, but if I remember correctly, these beings were somehow mistaken in thinking that this was truthful and such, so I don't know. I think I'd feel pretty sorry for a civilization that would fall for a movie like that, or that would fall for this kind of plot, but I'll hand it back over to Net Control. But I'm watching it over here, hand it back over, KD2SSC.
Well, that's how we do it. We pass the token around, and whoever has the token gets to talk. Right now, that's me. And now, it's Tom, KE5ICX. I'm going to call on you fairly early so that you don't get to, make as many notes about other people's things. That's what you get for not being Net Control, Tom. From WT9V.
All right, well, thank you, Bill. But I'm prepared tonight. I watched it on Netflix last night with a couple other people, and Netflix fed a documentary on it called Never Surrender, and it had a couple of people on it. I'll just mention this briefly because it is interesting. They had Will Wheaton from Next Gen, Star Trek The Next Generation, and Brent Spiner, also from Star Trek Next Generation. They were commenting about the film, and they were very positive about it. But I won't go there so much as the general theme of the film, which is that you can make fun. You can do Get a Life like William Shatner did on Saturday Night Live, and it was okay, and it was fun, but a lot of fans didn't like that, Star Trek fans, because they felt that they were being demeaned. This movie actually tried to be funny, which I think it was, and it was also somewhat an homage to the fans. I mean, they were on a very thin line on this thing in order to do this. The story and the acting, I thought, were excellent. The story itself was fine. It's a Star Trek adventure. We know that. It's called Galaxy Quest from the 1980s, but it's more Star Trek from the 1960s with a little bit of 80s hair thing going on, big hair thing going on. Fine by that. Is it entertaining? Yes. Is it paced correctly? Pretty much so. Is it a comedy? Yes. Does it make fun of the people in it? Not so much. But I thought that it really works. This could have been a landmine of hatred from particularly Star Trek fans, but it wasn't at all, because they never treated the fans or looked down at them. In fact, the fans helped solve the problem. The fans, as in the actor fans, through the whole thing. I can't think of the actor right now, but the one who played the alien in it, Grobner's Hammer, is absolutely frickin' hilarious, and he helps to show how, I know that characterization, I'll get back to it, but he helps to put a little bit of a gravitas to the whole thing. What's going on? You people don't know what you're doing. No, we're actors. We can pretend we know what we're doing. That's fantastic, and they somehow make it work, you know. Wow, they watched you very carefully. You know how to leave dry dock. You know how to do these things, and then all of a sudden, but I never paid that much attention to it. Well, they did. Oh yeah, Star Trek fans do that all the time. So it worked. The writer of this thing made this thing work. The ensemble. Oh shoot, I'm talking about everything. I'll stop here and simply say that this is, I guess, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth time I've seen it, and this is by far my favorite round on this thing, because there's so much going on, and as you get older, you kind of like just say, okay, I'm 60 years old, I'm going to have some fun with this thing, and it was a blast. It really was a lot of fun. Okay, I'll stop now. I'll probably have comments later, I'm sure. KE5ICX.
Did you really call me Bill? K5ANE, get Tom out of this from WT9V.
Hey everyone, sorry for my absence and jumping up here. I've got a few-week-old here whose name is Kane, screaming right now, trying to get me back to the bottle. So I'll make this brief, and I'll try and hop on another round here. But Galaxy Quest, what a wonderful favorite. I definitely wanted to stop by and listen to everyone's thoughts on this movie. It's an incredible movie, starring Tim the Toolman Taylor. I mean, wait, what? Oh, sorry, Tim Allen. And gosh, this plot is incredible, and oh man, what if sci-fi is real, right? I mean, it's great. It's quite a masterpiece, and they really do a good job in just, I don't know, almost every measure of it. And I kind of saw this movie before I was too deep into Trek culture and all that, and before my wife dragged me into that, and so it kind of prepared me for that. But on a way, I kind of like it, and it's a great comedy. It's kind of almost introspective, in my opinion, of such culture, and it's so it's such a fun movie. K5ANE, back to net.
Thank you, and that brings us around to Jay. What you got to say, Jay, from WT90?
Well, this is KG5BGW. Well, not much really to say. It's a comedy. It's fairly well executed. Lots of things about the movie make me wonder what they are drawing off of. Were there specific elements or actions that certain actors did, from Star Trek or some other sci-fi series, famous ones? I know. I vaguely recall a few stories that I really couldn't remember the particular elements, but I would like to know if, just what went on that kind of inspired it. I mean, you can guess, but anyway. It's one of those films also that I just can't really judge too seriously or whatever, because of course it's a comedy, but because of all the things that's already been mentioned, they really have to draw that fine line, not to be too critical of anybody here. And they do a good job. So, I mean, it's hard for me to say anything super critical or anything about it because, you know, it's so lighthearted and fun, and, you know, it's not meant to be taken too seriously. And, I don't know, I guess I'll just leave it at that. KG5BGW.
Alrighty, thank you very much, sir. And that brings us to Tom in Plano. What do you have to say about Galaxy Quest, which you say you hadn't seen, but you might make comments anyway? Now's your turn from WT9V.
Yeah, this is Tom. I really didn't watch the movie. I intended to this weekend before this net, and I just didn't get around to it. I did watch the preview, and I don't have too many comments. I was surprised that Tim Allen was in it, and really surprised Sigourney Weaver was in it, so it sounds like they had a pretty good cast. And I read through some of the reactions from the real Star Trek actors, and they all seemed to take the movie pretty well. In fact, George Takei made some comment about he thought it was a great documentary. So they all seemed to kind of take it in stride. And so next week, hopefully, I'll watch the movie and be able to comment a little bit more. This is KI5CWN.
Well, just remember, you have an assignment for next week. And you know, you don't want to be the kid that gets up in front of the class and goes, I didn't read the book. So, we'll let you off this time. N5BB, not Michael. What do you have to say about the plot of Galaxy Quest from WT9V?
Okie dokie, Michael. This is N5BB. Well, I liked the movie. This is actually the first time I've seen it. I knew of the movie, but for some reason I just never had seen it before. I'd seen spoofs of it on Saturday Night Live, but I never saw any part of the original movie. Not a single bit of it until now, today. And I liked it. I was kind of surprised, but I liked it. I thought the actors did a good job. I don't think it didn't hurt any of the major actors there. It didn't hurt their career at all. They came off very good on it. They were vulnerable during the thing, and their characters showed that they could come through in a difficult place. So the characters were all sympathetic. I mean, the major characters I'm talking about were sympathetic. The major actors and actresses. The love interest in it, Missy Pyle, who played Laliari, she was the alien woman that was very attracted to Tony Shalhoub, and then came back with him to Earth, where she was, anyway. That's an actress that just kind of started in the field back in 1999, but now she's very accomplished. Missy Pyle has been on lots and lots of things. You name it, she's done it. So she's really been active. And I like the writing of it, actually, and the directing. I like the fact that the aliens, the friendly ones, were they were so guileless. They didn't understand lying. They didn't understand fiction or artifice. And something about that just made them, it made you like them so much. They weren't stupid. I mean, they built that whole ship just with their technology, looking at what they saw from the TV and applying their technology to make it work. So, they were actually very smart. But in terms of human emotional kind kind of things, they were very stupid. But I thought they were very, very likable, and that made it a neat movie. The good guys were likable. The bad guys were very bad, very hateable. Nobody shed a tear when the lizard creatures were killed. And the little weird characters on that planet that were throwing rocks, that was a kind of a neat thing they did, the way they wrote it. They looked very, likable and friendly and cute. But of course, when they turned the translator on, what did they say? Let's shower them with rocks and eat them. So they were horrible. Anyway, as you can tell, I liked it. The best costume that was partially worn was Sigourney Weaver. She turned 50 in the year that this movie came out, and she looks great in this, as do the other actors. I mean, they come out looking very likable and photogenic and good. And in general, I think it's a fun movie. Sometime in the future, I'm sure I'll see it again. As far as a kind of science fiction comedy with some well-known actors and actresses in it, I think it's a good thing to watch again in the future. That's all I got in 5BB.
Thank you for your comments about the plot and characterization and everything else. NT5TM, Tony, tell us something pointed and intelligent and well-researched, like you normally do, sir, from WT9B.
I mean, do I have to? We've located an additional beryllium sphere on this planet, and I think the air is breathable. Okay, let's go down there. I really enjoy this movie. I own it. I've never made it all the way through the Stormian version of the soundtrack. I've always wondered if I could just listen long enough, if there were some Easter eggs on there, like someone would blurt out in French something like, ooh, the humans are made of French fries, or pommes frites, but I don't know, because I can't make it through all the high-pitched squeaking. It's a really fun movie, and I really liked Tom's comment about walking the fine line, because the plot has to do that. They want to make fun of science fiction movies and science fiction fans, because we all have a sense of humor, but without saying you're dumb or the movies aren't any good. And that's part of why it was so neat they had Sigourney Weaver, because, of course, she's Lieutenant Dylan Ripley, or Warrant Officer Ripley, depending on which movie credits. So you have these people who are really good actors, and they did have to make this balance come out. Fortunately, with the help of some spot-on writing, they did, because they ask all these questions that, anyone would ask at a different age. When you're a 10-year-old or younger watching a science fiction, your parents have said this isn't real, but you wonder, what if it was? What if this really happened? And then when you get a little bit older, you think, why would a starship have these chomping, smashing things? And then when you get even older, you start thinking, I have jobs and I have to negotiate a contract, and you can totally empathize with Sigourney Weaver's shout, this episode is badly written. So it's a very family-friendly movie, and I usually mean that in an insulting way, like they cut out all the good stuff. But in this case, I mean this in a good way. The plot has been carefully constructed to offer something for everybody, from the sense of wonder to the how did my agent get me into this? Where is that scumbag? So I applaud them for walking the fine line. I find it consistently full of humor. It's getting late. I'll imagine that we might have more rounds, and so I'll end my comments there. NT5TM.
Yeah, I have to say that Deck Sergeant Chen, which I think is a really strange rank for a chief engineer, was possibly Tech Sergeant was possibly my favorite character in many ways. Like when they open the door on the shuttle and the guy's freaking out, and he's like, "Hey, seems okay to me." It's just that deadpan reaction that he had to everything, almost everything. Let's see. W5EBB, Mr. David, tell us what you think about Galaxy Quest, the plot particularly, sir, from WT9V.
Well, thank you. I agree with Tom that Galaxy Quest had maybe some inspiration from the SNL skit and other inspirations and sources. But in the SNL skit, William Shatner begrudgingly answers questions at the Star Trek convention until he finally just throws up his hands and says, "Get a life, would you people? It's just a TV show." But this movie, instead of making fun of those sci-fi fans, the convention-going, Comic-Con cosplay crowd is given a respectful nod, and the nerdiest of them are essential in the plot to help save the day. Now, I remember in 1999 when this movie was released, going to the theater to watch it with a friend. Oh, what fun. Remember the time? Friends, movies, and actual theaters before we became anthropophobic hypochondriacs. This movie was funny then, and it's still funny today. And it's probably the best sci-fi satire movie ever made. Far better and smarter than, say, Spaceballs, which was just more of a caricature than a satire, just silly. Now, the main plot line of this movie involves the unassuming Thermians versus the dastardly and evil villain Ceres. And initially, we see this archetypal conflict where, all factors being equal, those who use tactics of lies and deceptions to achieve an objective generally have the upper hand against those who are honest, trusting, and ethical. Such moral rectitude means they would not degrade themselves to the same level as those who would, without hesitation or compunction, lie and deceive to gain an advantage. In fact, they would target the trusting, who they consider gullible and easy marks. And that might work in the short term, but in the long term, it may be found out that all things are not equal. The righteous may, in fact, have an invisible partner to go out before them to take on their adversaries. Say, for example, the nerdy group of kids who knew the detailed blueprints and functions of the ship. And in time, for the wicked, as Stewie might say, their uppance will come, as was the case for Ceres in this movie. The wicked plot against the righteous and gnash their teeth at them, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees that their day is coming. Food for thought. W5EBB.
Thank you, David. Always a pleasure when you check in. And that brings us around to Brenda, the B5OZL. Tell us what you have gleaned from your many watchings of this movie from WT9V.
This is WB5OZL. I wouldn't say it's many, but it's many. This is my movie. I mean, this is me. When, I'm actually a card-carrying member of a Star Trek fan club and have been for 30 years. And when we all went to see it together in 1999, when they first showed the audience with the fans, my best friend sitting next to me gasped, "It's us!" Because it's true. That's what we did. We dressed up in costume and went to sci-fi conventions. And, yeah, I'm proud of being a geek. I don't apologize at all. And, and I know the general public finds these people kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, I thought they were very kind to the fans. And And I like that, because a lot of people just say, oh, you're just, they tend to trivialize your hobby. So this movie, it had so many wonderful elements. The music, the dialogue, the Easter eggs. The Thermians are from the Klaatu Nebula. This stuff just whizzes by you. You have to be quick. Most of the major stars fought to get their roles. They really wanted to do this. And Tim Allen, I guess you all know he's a ham. He's also a huge sci-fi fan and has a big collection of sci-fi collectibles. So he wanted to do this. And I think, that adds a dimension to a movie when somebody's just totally buying into it. It's not just a paycheck. One of the things I like most about this movie is you got some washed-up losers who become heroes. They didn't like each other or get along much, but they found a connection, and they found friendship and teamwork. And to me, that's one of the best parts of this. It just makes you cheer. Is they come out as winners, and everybody's very happy. So I like that. It didn't do all that well in the beginning, like so many sci-fi movies. The people in the suits don't understand it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to promote it. They're just out of their realm with this. It's they just drop the ball, and then the movie suffers and does not become the success that it should. And that happened to some extent for this one, although it did do, it started slow, but it finally ended up with a decent showing. But it would have been a major hit had they promoted it properly. Alrighty, I'll talk some more later. WB50ZL.
Alrighty then. Apparently, I'll just read some things I found on the net as opposed to actually making any intelligent comments, because we had time to prepare. Apparently, some of the original dialogue was rather naughty or non-PG. Like at one point in a memorable scene, Sigourney Weaver yells, "Screw that!" but her lips are clearly saying something else. I'll just save the other ones for later. Let's go back around to the beginning, and that would be KB9SOK. Sean, this is the characterization round. What do you have to say about the characters, sir?
I'll keep it fairly short. The actors were obviously top-notch. They played their parts very well. They were very believable in the parts they played. I will say that I can't think of his last name, but Tony, the one that played the engineer, yes, he was probably my favorite out of the bunch as well. As somebody else mentioned, I do think he was the funniest one. But one thing I will say, just kind of a side comment, I do think sometimes comedies don't get the recognition that they should. Hollywood likes to focus on the dramas and the historical type movies. Always seems to give them the nod at the end of the year. But once again, it has been proven. Comedies aren't easy to act. I mean, it's hard to make it seem natural, and I do think they should at times get more recognition than they should. But all in all, fairly well acted. That's all I got. Back to Net Control. This is KB9SOK.
Thank you, sir. According to trekkers who voted on the matter during the Star Trek 2013 convention in Las Vegas, Galaxy Quest is the 7th greatest Star Trek movie ever made. KD9 SSC Shane in Dallas. What you got to say about characterization, sir, from WT9V?
Kilo Delta 2, Sierra Charlie, Shane here. And, I'm just kicking back, really doing a lot of listening. I don't really have that much to contribute in terms of just comments, except, it's an honor to be able to be on the air with such intelligent people. And, so it's very nice to really be out here and to be able to participate in just radio and in general. I really don't have much of anything else to say. I don't really have that much more to say about this particular movie. Not really prepared for it, but I think it's the insights of fellow answers and very good, very interesting to listen to. I'll hand it back over to Net Control, 82 SSC.
Alrighty, thank you very much. And that brings us back to that Tom guy from Michael, WT9V.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I assume you're calling on me. I used the call sign thing, but oh well. What happened to the other Tom? He didn't. Well, you could have had 3 Toms, but I don't know what happened to the one that was asking for a radio check before the net. Must have taken his battery away or something, pulled it out like I did on the robot and lost in space. But in any case, I loved it. I thought the characterizations were wonderful. The actors really did a great job. They really in the documentary they said that they had a wonderful lightning in a bottle in ensemble cast, which really did play out quite well. I love Sigourney Weaver's line is, as they are now realizing that it's reality, and all she does is repeat the same thing that the computer tells her, and then she repeats it to the captain so he understands it correctly. She does it in a more conversational way, and everybody says, look, she finally gets frustrated and says, what's the line? She says, look, I only have one thing to do on the show. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it well. And how many actors had to do that? And thinking, and Sigourney Weaver, she's Wonder Woman in the Alien movies and did such a marvelous job. I mean, she created this whole archetype, and she's playing this terrible character from the 1980s that never got any lines. And it reminded me too of poor Nichelle Nichols. She wanted to leave Star Trek because all she did was open and close hailing frequencies, and she was a much better actress and talented person as well. And by the way, in Netflix there's a whole thing on what she did for NASA back in the 1980s, early 80s, and for recruiting for diversity for NASA. They wanted her, and she did a great job and brought in many of the astronauts that you're aware of, the ones that we talked about even on the previous net. So the thing is that it's really great. The one character, Mathesus, I can't think of his name. I got to have a program here. Let me reset. He's the one that came up with the leader of the aliens, the gullible aliens. He came up with that kind of weird voice and the clapping and everything else, and then everybody started doing it. And if you've ever done any theater of any sort, when you get a cast together and they start playing off of each other, and it gets bigger and better, and in this case, because it's a comedy, funnier, that really emotes on screen, and you could tell that these people were having a good time together. They really, really, really were. If there's a blooper reel somewhere, I would love to see it from this movie, because it was obvious that this cast had a great time. There was a point, Nick Ramis, I think it was Nick Ramis, the comedian, was actually the director on the show, and he was going to take it in a particular direction. And at some point, he had perhaps a temper tantrum, probably a professional one. Well, creative differences. I'm going to leave now, and probably sucked up a cigarette and then left and drove away without a rooster tail in the driveway, but in the parking lot. But at least, you know, they decided that they brought somebody else in who I think helped to foster this whole new thing. And everybody was going, what do we do? What do we do? Well, we're actors. We'll figure it out, which is exactly what the movie's about. We're actors. We'll figure it out, and we'll fake it when we don't know. So there was truth and fiction. You know, art imitates life, and it imitates art, imitates life. It had some of those real-world elements to it, which is really interesting. You know, I will tell you this one thing. You know, I did theater years ago, and I remember when on a stage where an actor was supposed to come out, she missed her cue. She did not come out. And we're all on stage. There were 6 of us on stage, and we're trying to figure out, this is a big scene. We're trying to figure out what to do. And suddenly I said, I heard from one of the actresses, we've got to move to the next scene. She's not here. Do you think she'll come out? And we're talking through the sides of our mouth like I was doing right now. You can tell from the microphone I am. And we all looked at one another and went, okay, we're just going to move over here to the dining room table as a group. And the group of us moved over. It was like this group move because our actress didn't show up on stage. We moved to the next scene. And it was ridiculous, and it was weird, but it was real. It was just crazy how that all worked out. Did the audience suspect something was horribly wrong? Yes, they did. But in the end, that's kind of what this story is, because something went horribly wrong. They're trying to figure it out in the fake world, but in the real world it was happening. So I thought that was kind of interesting and cool, and it brought back some memories of doing that sort of thing. So that's my sideways view of it. But I loved it. I love the actors in this thing. I'll watch it again. I'm surprised I haven't watched it more. Back to you, KE5I6.
Thank you, Tom. And that brings us around to Jay, KG5BZW, from Michael, WP9D. What do you think about the characterization of Galaxy Quest, sir?
Alright, this is KG5BZW. I thought I heard something in between right after Tom, but it was so down in the noise that it was kind of hard to hear, so I don't know who that might have been. I'll go ahead and have my 2 cents, and you might want to check and see if they're still around. Yeah, I think this film, I don't know, honestly, there's been a number of good comments, and I just don't know how much to really add to it. Of course, you know, I think a number of these stars, if they didn't they hadn't already starred in a sci-fi or fantasy film, they soon would be as stars in it. So, of course, I don't know about Shalhoub, but a lot of the actors, I think it's just a good mixture of actors that seem to, they seem to get along pretty well, and I think it does show. And I don't know what else to say from there, because I think half of enjoyment of the film is not just seeing the interplay between characters, but seeing the actors play those characters. I'm kind of that seems to be very shallow here. It's hard to say. It's kind of a fun movie. I don't think I have anything else to say. KG5BGW.
Alrighty, thank you very much. And now, Kane, K5A&E, what you got to say about characterization?
I have to say I most self-identify with the engineer. Just the way he approached everything was like that's cool, huh, kind of attitude to it. And I would hope that if I were thrust into a similar situation, that's how I would, deal with things. Of course, the engineer has that whole kind of freak out moment of like, no, I'm just faking. I don't really know anything. When he steps up to the plate for the transporter thing and ultimately kind of fails in the first one. Of course, that's not necessarily his fault. That's the tech's fault. It wasn't designed for that weird pig thing in the first place. Anyways, that's it for me. K5A&E, back to net control.
Oh, come on. Tell me you haven't accidentally digitized something inside out before. KR5PWN, Tom in Plano. Any comments about characterization or other things, sir? From WT9V.
Just reading about the cast, it's interesting to me that it sounds like each person had to play two roles. So, for instance, it says Tim Allen played Jason Nesmith, who was an actor, but Jason Nesmith played Commander Peter Quincy Taggart. So each of the actors that were in this movie actually had to play two different roles. Apparently, they had to play an actor, and then they also had to play the character that actor portrayed in the movie. So, again, I didn't see the movie, but it would be interesting to hear if that's the case, where they actually had to play two different roles in the movie. KI5PWN.
N5HYP.
Hello, Tom. Let me put you on the list. We'll go ahead and let you go next. But other Tom in Plano, do watch the movie. It's worth your time, I think. N5HYP, go ahead.
Hey, apologies. I actually fell asleep before you even had a chance to take check-ins, but I woke up. Here I am. It's a fun movie. I loved it when it came out. I loved it again. Holly, my wife, said, I forgot how funny this thing is. And it is. It's a great spoof. It's a great parody. I just can imagine Sigourney Weaver after, having such fame and notoriety in the Alien franchise. When she got offered this role, she went, yes! It just was, it was a nice little romp. To me, it kind of, harkened a bit to, Airplane being a takeoff on, serious disaster movies. So, the characters were fun. And yes, to the previous caller's comment, not having seen the movie, but yes, the actors played actors playing characters, and so in that regard, it was quite cool. Anyway, that's it, and I'm done for the night. I'm going to get up in the morning and work a little bit of the VHF contest. Talk to you later from N5HYP.
All right, good night, Tom, and good luck tomorrow. N5BB, Bill and Irving. Anything else to say about characterization about Galaxy Quest from WT9V?
Well, this is N5BB. Since you don't like me talking, I'll just have one quote of dialogue. Hi, what's up with her? Doesn't she talk? Her translator is broken. Ya la 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 la. Okie dokie. This is Zen 5BB. I liked it.
Not that I don't like you talking. It's just that, we try to structure this thing in plot, characterization, and you just get all over the place. It offends my sense of order. Not that that matters at all. NT5TM, Tony. Characterization, sir. Just as a reminder of what part of the net we're in from WT9B.
Well, I really enjoy all the different characters in this movie. I especially liked the way that going through that first transport ride where they get encased in gel and fired through a wormhole is like being put into the total perspective vortex in the Hitchhiker's Guide universe. And Tony Shalhoub, I'm not just praising him because he's an actor with the same name as me, is the only one who handles it okay. It's like, wow, that was a thing. I love that moment. It's a great kind of little detail bit early in the movie, because they all think they're just ordinary people. Where's my agent? Where are my water bottles? Why are there no lemons on this tray? I want lemons to go with my water. And then suddenly, whoops, my life is different. But what's really universal is that almost every character in this movie, the Thermians and the humans, has to answer the same question. What would happen if I got a chance to be the person I wanted to be? Lots of us have seen movies like Das Boot, but we don't think we could command a U-boat. What if somebody made us do that? How would we do? We've seen The Longest Day, but what if we had to be, Theodore Roosevelt Jr. on the beaches of Normandy, standing there with his cane, directing the troops going this way and that way while people are shooting at him? What would happen if someone made us be Jim Lovell? I mean, what would happen to Tom Hanks? More importantly, if you made him be Jim Lovell, how would he do? That is the question. That is the question that the meta characters, the actors, as someone has noted, the actors are really playing two characters. They're playing the actors are playing actors, and those actors are in turn playing characters who are faced with that question: what would happen if you were given a chance to be who you imagined yourself to be? And that's a really hard and threatening thing. What would happen? What would you do? What would you do for a decision? What advice would you listen to? What decisions would you make from your gut? It's really hard. And what's so heartwarming about this movie is that although they fail repeatedly, because we all would, they then go on and try, whether they do it by listening to one another or relying on their teammates or in a nice montage scene practicing along with their old television historical documentary episodes. They all try to become the person they imagine themselves to be. And that's really all any of us can hope to do, is to be our own best selves. And that's why this is such a universal movie and so much fun to watch and talk about. NT5TM.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to W5EBB. David, what you got for us, sir? WT9B.
Well, just to talk to Tony's point, this is a ordinary people in extraordinary situations, sort of an ordeal for these people. How would they do? They did pretty well, but I think their performances would be different depending on whether or not they had a director, or if they were just acting on their own. Now, the guy, Sam Rockwell, the plucky comic relief, probably had the best line of the whole movie after he materialized on the Protector 2 and just screamed. Tech Sergeant Chen, or Monk to his close friends, had some good deadpan delivery lines like, "Wow, the floors are so clean," and "Sorry, the door was a little sticky. Did you see that? I'll get one of my boys up here with a can of WD-40. And Mathazar said, "Our society had fallen into disarray. Our goals and values had become scattered. We have modeled every aspect of our society from your example. Your courage, teamwork, and friendship through adversity has saved us," referring to the historical records, of course. and commenting on the current state of the medical state of the art. During the ship tour, Mathazar says, "We went to some trouble duplicating your cellular regeneration system, and the organ fabrication chamber is coming along nicely." Perhaps a 3D printing technology collaboration between Intel and Hormel, combining CRISPR, stem cells, pea protein, and spam. Every now and then, an unexpectedly telling line slips through that the Thermians didn't quite catch, like when Sigourney Weaver playing Gwen DeMarco playing Lieutenant Tawny Madison says, "Are you crazy? We have to get out of here. Jason, we're actors, not astronauts." She later explains to Mathazar, "We are not the people you think we are. Is there no one on your planet who behaves in a way that's contrary to reality?" "Oh, you're referring to deceptions, lies, deceptions. This is a new concept to us, one that we are just now learning about at great cost." And when insect, simian, lizard man villain Ceres is shown the historical documents, which is simply the intro of the Galaxy Quest TV show, he slowly starts to laugh as though he were watching the NBC nightly news, and realizes that the Thermians had been ultimately deceived and duped in their incorrect interpretation of what they thought they were seeing. What they thought was the truth was in fact contrived fiction for entertainment and other purposes. Commander Taggart in the final space battle scene says, "Well, let me tell you something, Ceres. It doesn't take a great actor to recognize a bad one. Some insight and intuition can go a long way towards distinguishing fact from fiction." W5EBB.
Thank you very much, sir. And speaking of sirs, it's now time for WB5OZL. Miss Brenda, what you got for us about characterization and stuff like that from WT9V?
This is WB5OZL. Fascinating characters, all. You know, they're all just, they have so many dimensions, and they're just interesting, and they do their part so well. You know, it's amazing. We have so much to say about these people. They're imaginary, but not to us. They're like real people, and they really did flesh out these characters. I'll have to say that. Sigourney Weaver is one of my favorite actresses. In fact, Aliens is my favorite all-time movie. I was just amazed at how she nailed it, fluffing her hair and adjusting her clothes and just really playing the bimbo. I had watched a piece on the internet about it. I noticed at one point her zipper was way down, and I thought, what? When and why did that happen? And then one of the scenes they had cut out was she was trying to come on to the aliens, the bad ones. So she pulled her zipper down, and she was flirting with them. But that didn't go anywhere. But for the rest of the movie, she still has her zipper down. So, this wasn't... this did have a lot of bad language in it. If you see her lip reading when they get to the chompers, what she says is not what she really said. They cleaned it up later so it would be a child-friendly show. I'd love to see the outtakes to see the real dialogue. I think that would be hilarious. I think one thing this does is it really validates the science fiction world. You know, we take a lot of hits for people not thinking we're serious or grown up, but I think one reason this resonates with us is it makes us feel good about all this, and we like that. You know, Tim Allen's a big science fiction fan, and in the movie he really related to the fans, and they loved him, and that connection is really it's heartwarming because we like that. I was at a con with Mark Hamill, and when he got up and he said, and this is before the original Star Wars was actually released, and he said, I love science fiction. And the crowd went insane. It's like, you understand it, you get it, you're one of us. So, yeah, that's all I want to say for now. Back to net, W50ZL.
Alrighty. Well, I guess I'll do what I didn't do earlier, which is say, are there any more check-ins at this point for the Galaxy Quest discussion tonight? From WT90, please come down.
November 5, Sierra, Quebec Alpha.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. We didn't know that the movie tonight was going to be Galaxy Quest, but my brother heard it. He's not a ham, but I had the radio on for the 6 o'clock, 6:30 net tonight. He said, movie night, Galaxy Quest. So we ended up watching Galaxy Quest tonight, and in my household, it's a favorite movie, and there are lots of good things to say about it. I just got here now, so I haven't heard all the comments on the net tonight. But we like the movie. The Guy Fleegman, Sam Rockwell, the actors in this thing are awesome. The dialogue and scenes are awesome. Was I just supposed to give you my call sign? I forget. N5SQA.
Well, generally, I'll tell you what we normally do, and that's we usually talk in 3 rounds, and we just finished the second round. So I'll ask you now, do you have any comments about the plot, and then do you have any comments about the characterization and the characters in the movie? And then we'll go on to the next round, and I'll put you into the rotation for other stuff, special effects and other stuff. So what do you have, any thoughts that you have about the plot and about characterization, sir?
The plot is pretty formulaic, but I like the fact that at the end they bring in the fan kids, what's his name, I think it's Jason Long from the Apple Mac commercials, and they help the TV characters bring the thing home. That's great. That's the plot and characterization. No, I won't take up your time. I don't have any particular thoughts on that. Thank you very much. N5SQA.
All right. Well, I'll say if you want to hear what the other people have said about things, that the stream, Tom is streaming this. So if you go on YouTube and search for DARC space Skynet, you can go about halfway down the stream on YouTube and look for the part where it's like, got a still shot, and then start watching from there. If you don't want to watch, the first part of Skynet, but then you can catch all the other comments that other people have made. So at this point, I'm going to go back around to the beginning of the list, which is KB9SOK, Sean in Fort Worth. What do you have to say about special effects and whatever else? Any other thoughts on your mind, sir, from WT9V?
This KB9SOK, yeah, the special effects were good for 1999. Once again, this was a fairly, I think, decent budgeted movie. So they were decent. The music was decent. Don't have really many other comments to make. I think it's been pretty well covered. So back to net control. This is KB9SOK.
All right, thank you very much. KD2SSC, Shane in Dallas. Thoughts on special effects and other things? I mean, whatever else you got on your mind about it. From WT9V.
KD2SSC. I don't really have a comment right now. I think I'm probably just falling asleep, and yes, I'm going to hand it back over to Net Control, and I'm going to go ahead and say 73s to everybody. Have a good night.
Alrighty, this is going to be a quick round if this doesn't slow down. Tom in Louisville, KE5ICX. There, now you know which Tom you are. He usually has lots of comments on other things, so take it away, Mr. Tom.
This is KE5ICX. I never know what he means because he has a read between the lines response. Bill stunt double. At any rate, a couple of things I thought was interesting. First off, I've kind of been, while listening, looking around to see what other things are on the internet about Galaxy Quest, and Tom Allen actually posted, if I can find this thing, or Tim Allen, not Tom Allen, Tim Allen, you know what I'm talking about. He says he posted on YouTube the outtakes from Galaxy Quest from, I believe, from 2018. And this is what he says. This is probably the most fun I ever had working on a film. Science fiction has always been one of my favorite genres. Such a professional and focused cast. Not even the rock monster broke character, and he was very concerned about his figure on camera. That's what it says. That's from Tim Allen on YouTube, and he has Galaxy Quest deleted scenes. But that's not all. There's other things in here. Galaxy Quest stars rap with Sam Rockwell, Sigourney Weaver, and Daryl Mitchell, and they do a little thing in there. It's just a minute long, but it's rather cute. It says it's an extra from the DVD. It's kind of low resolution, but it's there. So there's plenty of that. The music's very good. Oh, and special effects. Now, one thing. The music, first off, is done by yet another Newman member, I believe. I don't remember if it's Thomas or whom. I have to go back and look. But the Newman family is well accomplished in music and well ensconced in 20th Century Fox for the years and years and years. You can look it up. What was the other? Hold on. Special effects. One thing that they mentioned in the little documentary thing, and I thought it was very true and pretty cool as well, is when the show opens, when the movie opens, you get a 4:3 format, which is basically a standard television type screen, and it opens with kind of credits that way, and then eventually, when they go and they're on board the ship, the whatever the heck the thing was called. Geez, boy, I wish I'd taken notes better than I did. But at any rate, it opens up and it does the 1.62 screen, which is a widescreen format. And he said when they did this in theaters, a lot of times people didn't know. The projectionists didn't know because this was done as an optical movie, and so things would get messed up. And I remember that from the same thing happened in Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines way back in the 60s when I saw that in the theater. I'm old, and they messed up. So there's an example of that with Galaxy Quest. And the whole point of the thing was to show that we're moving from television and just something happening into reality, which isn't real but is in this movie. So I thought that was pretty cool in that transition. Something that they hadn't done since, what was the other film? I always put myself in these painted-in corner traps. Brainstorm. Brainstorm was like that as well, and switched between different formats. Overall, excellent movie. Really enjoyed it. and this third or fourth time around that I've seen it, I'll watch it again more frequently. I thought there's plenty in there. Lots to enjoy. The cast was really superb, first rate in this thing, and it was better. It's one of those films like Blade Runner was for me originally. It was not a particular. I didn't like it at first, and then it grew on me, and it's become one of my favorite films. This one now, I liked originally, but I went, it's okay. But as you watch it in repeat viewings, it just gets better and better because you see more and more, and you can tell that this cast is having a blast and that the story is well engineered. Yes, it's supposed to be clunky and silly, but in reality, it's really well crafted. It's a good film. I like it a lot. KE5ICX.
Thank you, Bill. And now, KG5BZW. Jay, your Weatherford. What you got to say about the plot and other things, sir?
This is KG5BZW. I don't really have anything else to say. I will be watching that documentary and a few of these YouTube videos soon. Maybe not tonight, but yeah, this has been fun. KG5BZW.
Alrighty. K5A&E, Mr. Kane. Hopefully you can hear the radio over Little Kane from WT9V.
Yeah, so once again, I just really have to reiterate this idea that this movie really is a masterpiece, and I just absolutely love it. As a late Star Trek fan, it's so wonderful. It's almost everything that I thought a Star Trek fan was, and then as I have fully experienced that universe, once again, it really felt true in many ways, and it's really incredible. Man, I've never experienced any movie quite like this, and yeah, that's all that I got. That's about all I have to say tonight. This is K5A&E, back to net.
Thank you, sir. That brings us around to Tom in Plano from WT9V.
Yeah, I have no more additional comments about the movie, but I will tell you I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation tonight. It's very interesting and fascinating listening to people's intelligent and personalized messages that they have about this. It's always fascinating to me to listen to people talk about movies and what it meant to them. So thank you for letting me join the net. I had a good time. KI5BWN.
Well, you are most welcome. Come back and see us next time. Maybe if you have a chance, watch the movie that Tom will no doubt tell us what is, or maybe he'll tell me before then and I'll tell everybody. Who knows? We'll find out. N5DB, Mr. Bill, what you got to say about pretty much anything at this point, sir? Go right ahead from WT9V.
This is N5DB. David Newman wrote the music, Tom. And if you look on IMDb, there's a whole huge number of people that were in the crew involving the special effects and other kind of things, and the music for that matter. I thought it was a good-looking movie. I thought it was done well. It was believable, considering it's a comedy science fiction movie, not believed to be really, not meant to be believed exactly. But I thought it was a good production in FABB.
Alrighty. Looks like we're wrapping this one up fairly quickly. I think I had to learn how to talk after all this time on the microphone. NT5DM, Tony. Thoughts about whatever? Tony, NT5TM. No Tony. Okay, W5 EBB, Mr. David. What you got to say about whatever?
All right, thanks, Michael, and thanks for running the net. You know, if Fry's Electronics had only secured advertising promotion from the crew of the NSEA Protector by Grabthar's hammer, they may not have gone out of business. Now, as for the music, a reviewer of the soundtrack had this to say, and I agree with him. Awesome soundtrack. There's something about this film that makes me grin like an idiot. For a tongue-in-cheek parody of Star Trek and its fans, Galaxy Quest has a surprisingly nuanced score, full of grand sounds and quiet passages, and thanks to the quality of the film, you can follow the film just through the music. And if you look through the tracks, you'll find such gems as Red Thingy, Green Thingy, Pig Monster, and Digitize Me, Fred. Now, in summary, this is one of those movies you can watch at least once a year and still find it funny and find pithy comments or details you might have missed in previous viewings. For example, this time when I watched it, I noticed something new. At the end, when the ship crash lands into the convention center and Ceres emerges, when the camera pans to the audience, there's this one guy in the front row with a Nerf gun shooting oversized foam Nerf bullets at Ceres. Really funny. But it captures Ceres' attention for a moment, totally ineffective as a weapon, but actually provided a sufficient diversion to allow Commander Taggart to Shatner roll into position to take the shot that takes out Ceres. And this was just another specific example of how the writers and the director pulled in the fans and integrated their fantasy in a significant way into the story. And I think that's a reason why the movie has developed a cult status and has become endearing to a lot of fans. And finally, bear in mind, it's only a movie, they're only actors, but if you are having doubt or experiencing a moment of crisis, remember the chomper sequence is 224-242-442. W5EBB.
Thank you, David. And that brings us around to Brenda. What you got for us, Brenda?
This is WV5OZL. Well, not much. So much has been said. I think we've almost used everything up. There was talk of a sequel. Not sure that's going to happen. When Alan Rickman passed away, that kind of put a stop to talk of a sequel. But some of the others, the stars, had said they would definitely be up for it. And but I don't think it needs a sequel. It just needs to stay as it is, just perfect. And I think you can't go home again. It just wouldn't be the same. Special effects were great. Stan Winston is, of course, a genius, and he can't go wrong. So there was just so much talent in this movie, all wrapped up into one. That's a big part of what made it so good. The music, the special effects, the acting, and so on. All right, I'm going to quit there. WB5OZL.
All right, thank you very much. N5SQA, Ron. Any thoughts on special effects and other things at this point, sir?
I'm going to say no thoughts on special effects. There were lots of nice effects. Again, I got here late, so you guys already probably covered the awesome audio effect when they're pulling the ship out of the space station for the first time, and there's metal scraping on metal. But other than that, I'll let you guys go. N5SQA.
Actually, I don't think anybody had mentioned that, so thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to say that's about it. I have it on good authority. Oh, who am I kidding? Good authority. Tom says, that's the ICX Tom guy, that next week's movie is going to be Moonraker. Yes, the Moonraker. Yes, we're going to watch a Bond film. So, y'all go out, do your homework, watch the movie, and come back here in about 6 days in what is it, 21 and a half hours, something like that. 22 and a half hours. I don't know. 10:30 next Saturday. Be there or else from WT9V. 73, y'all.
Bill, you did an excellent job, WT9V from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, KI5CWN. And I also enjoyed the net beforehand that I think Tom led. That was a fantastic net as well. KI5CWN.
Is my name being used inappropriately in 5EV?
Depends on who you ask. Because, you know, I think WB5OZL Bill is going to, you know, have some comments about this.
I've finished my comments.
I just don't understand how WT9V hasn't seen this film, K5A&E.
I've seen it several times, and I will see it several more times. I just didn't have any more... once David checks into the net, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to what he can come up with. So, I just, you know, pass the buck or something. WT9V.
When David does a review and he talks about stuff, he does it in such a precise and well thought out way. You're thinking, how come we can't have people like that doing actual reviews for movies, because it's so good. KE5I6.
Well, fortunately, lassos don't reach through RF airwaves to kind of reel me in. But I appreciate the freedom to speak, you know, flexibly, I guess, on these movies, W5EBB.
So, Tom and I were talking about this last week or week before, sometime not too long ago. Do you actually have this all written out? Because it sounds like you have a script that you're reading, that you have all, you know, polished it all and made it perfect before you key up.
I freely admit that is exactly what I do. Usually the night before, I might watch it earlier in the week, but then, you know, I just kind of hit the points that I thought were kind of salient, you know. But you know, these are just my opinions, my thoughts, and yeah, and I'm editing it right up into the time that I key up. W5EBB.
I used to do that. That was back when Tom thought I had, you know, interesting comments. Now I don't, apparently, even when I make comments.
And you know, I like to keep these, you know, I like to keep these as historical records, you know, the comments, so that, you know, for whatever reason. But you know, there's certain movies that just resonate, and it's like they have aspects that are noteworthy, and it's easy to just comment on it and look at it from various angles. And this is one of those movies, of course, which was a really fun one. W5EBB.
You know, actually, the fact that I don't have very interesting comments anymore is Tom's fault, because Tom decided that we should get together and watch the movie on Friday night, and I have to be up really early Saturday morning. So, you know, it's like I can't watch the movie, take notes, and make snarky comments in the chat all at the same time and get to sleep in time to be up at 6 o'clock on Saturday mornings to, still get enough sleep so that I don't feel like hand-hammered dog poo by this time on a Saturday night. So it's his fault. And you probably can't see this, but I'm gesturing at the computer where I'm watching him looking so smug in his tilt and swivel.
Hey, did Tom announce the movie for next week, or did I miss it?
No, Tom did not announce the movie for next week. I did.
Oh. Well, I wasn't listening then because I was waiting for Tom to announce it. What's the movie going to be next week?
Moonraker.
Oh, the James Bond movie?
No, the Three Stooges movie.
Bill, the other Bill is being mean. Yes, it's Moonraker from, 1977?
Yes. I don't know why you're calling Michael Bill.
I don't know why he's calling me you either.
He got mad at me because apparently I slipped and called you, I called Bill. So I messed up. So there you have it.
W5FC.
You slipped and called Bill? It's Bravo, inside BB.
Tom, don't get confused between Michael and Tom and Bill, and we're all the same.
Well, sometimes it is. Being one of the baby boomers, I was a cusper. Okay, boomer. Everybody had like 3 Bills, 2 Tims, 2 Toms, 7 Johns, and that was just the guys. There was, Angela and Mary, and it didn't matter. Of course, every class have at least 30 kids in it. That's what I grew up with, is a massive number of duplicate people, even though they're all different. Duplicate kids.
I would say that only the rich people had 7 Johns. Most people only had 1 or 2.
My mother's name is John, and my brother's name is John, and I had 3 Michaels in my graduating class in high school, with a total of 10 Michaels overall within my, 7 years, I guess, of total high school spread of the freshmen and the freshmen after me and the freshmen after them, and blah, 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 that whole kind of year spread. So yeah, 10 Michaels on a tiny little high school. But in the end, though, a lot of it's actually kind of crazy when it comes to French Canadians, because most French Canadians, especially in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were all named either Joseph or Mary as the first name. If you were talking legal first names, of course, the name they went by was not Joseph or Mary, because that's way too confusing. But if you go to the verbiage, there's always Joseph something something or Mary something something. So if you were to legally address them, maybe Mary something something. But it's that much Catholic K580.
But you go a few decades everybody hates the names. Anyway, like Mary, Larry, Moe, or Curly. Would you name your kids Larry, Moe, and Curly if you had 3 kids? And 5BB.
Longest double we have ever heard, NT5, TM, and Aaron.
That I think I've ever heard, and Kane won until he stopped transmitting.
Ooh, I won.
Not unless your name's Kane.
Oh, he won. Okay, well, so I wasn't the longest talker. I could be a slow talker, if you remember that old gag.
No, you were the longest talker. He just stomped all over you until he unkeyed. WT9B. Good night, everyone.
He just stomped on me and broke my heart. He just sort of broke my aorta. See you in 5BB clear.
Thanks for doing the net, Michael. WB50ZL clear.
I don't know if you should encourage him, Brenda, in 5BB.
You mean you shouldn't encourage him, Bill, in 5BB. That's what you were supposed to be saying. Remember, everybody's Bill tonight. Bill. WT9V.
Well, you can pay your bill if you forget what to do with your money. Good night in 5BB.
I blame Tom. WT9V.
I am Billicus.
Glad to hear this J-pole works well, K5 Amy.
I mean, there was a lot of noise, but yeah, I pretty much heard everything you said.
Eli sounds good to me. Go ahead and try again.
I've got a lot of French Canadian influence, as my wife is French Canadian, and she actually speaks Acadian French as a first language. So it's quite interesting. We're going to try and raise Kane as bilingual with French and English. So should be rather fun. I got to brush up on my Duolingo now.
So I have a question.
People over on the other side of the pond say that what's spoken in Canada is not French.
Well, I was about to add, I wonder if a French Canadian could understand a Cajun French dialect, W5EBB.
Yeah, so my wife, she even, oh gosh, Kane's really freaking out now. My wife used to have her iPhone set to French, and she would be able to use it fine and things like that, but you know, if she were to like try and have like a conversation with somebody like in France, it'd be like as if she was speaking as a child in a way, as far as like the way her grammar structure would be. It's just, you know, it's not, you know, it's like Hochdeutsch versus Deutsch, you know, like it's just a different way of saying things. And she was in French club and things like that, and it would just be kind of just different the way you'd say things.
Quebecois, I believe, is what we're going for here.
Oh, be careful with saying Quebecois, because that's almost some political connotations there with that K5A&E.
Okay. I won't do that anymore then. W29V.
Well, I had a friend once who, his parents, his heritage was from Haiti, and he spoke French, and but other people who spoke French called his French country French. I'm sure they could understand each other, but the grammar was probably much different. W5EVB.
I'm trying to understand somebody from New England. W29V.
Yeah, exactly right. You'll understand each other if you're Acadian French, American, and speaking to somebody in actual France. But sometimes they'll be like, wait, slow down. What are you trying to say? Like, a little bits here and there. Kind of strange how you would say things. And, sometimes my wife and her sisters in French class in high school would fail a test or something like that. It's like, well, like if you would do it as like the French Canadian way, they did it right on the exam. But yeah, Kane's really freaking out.
W5FC.
You only got a few more months of that. Don't worry, you'll get sleep eventually. W29V.